Chapter 42:12. The horizon turned white. The sun gradually rose. Everything on the earth woke up one by one. After dawn, 3 figures appeared in the sky above Qingtian City. Qin Feiyang, Madman Imo, Golden-Winged Wolf King. As soon as the 3 appeared, the entire city fell into chaos. What are they doing here? Are they really planning to slaughter the human race? No, I don't want to die yet. Run. Before Qin Feiyang and the other 2 said anything, the people in the city began to rush out of the city. Are we that scary? The corner of Madman's mouth twitched. He looked at these people as if they were demons. What do you think? In the eyes of the world, the sea race and the beast race are unreachable existences. But now, in just one night, the 2 races were destroyed by us. It would be strange if they weren't afraid of us. Qin Feiyang shook his head. But are we really protecting them? Madman pouted. The sea race and the beast race were different because they were the subordinates of the divine kingdom. But the human race, the god race, and the purple gold divine dragon race were all targets they had to protect. But the key is that they don't know. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. He looked at the fleeing people and said, "Please tell the king that the divine king, the sovereign of the human race, will come to Qingtian City tomorrow at noon." What do you mean? Not to massacre the city? Everyone stopped and looked at each other. If the divine king, the divine kingdom, and the sovereign don't come tomorrow, then we might really massacre the city. After Qin Feiyang said that, he opened a space-time tunnel. The 3 turned around and left. Quickly think of a way to contact the people of Mount Supreme, the Divine Island, and the Purple Gold Divine Dragon race. How do we contact them? We can't even enter the Divine Island and Mount Supreme. We have to find the City Lord about this. He can contact the people of Mount Supreme and the Divine Island. This news quickly spread across the 3 continents. Everyone was in danger. They all looked towards Mount Supreme, the Godly Island, and the Purple Gold Divine Dragon's territory. Whether or not the 3 continents could escape the fate of being massacred all depended on the decision of the 3 monarchs. In the past, they would not have believed that Qin Feiyang and the others had the ability to slaughter the 3 continents. But things were different now. The beast race and the sea race were examples. East continent, the broken earth, the bloody mist that filled the air, and the pungent smell of blood seemed to be telling a sad story. Qin Feiyang and the other 2 walked in the void without any ripples in their eyes. It wasn't that they were cold-blooded and heartless, but they were already used to this kind of scene. What are they doing now? The white-eyed wolf was puzzled. Find the inner demons. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Even if the inner demons were only remnant souls, he could still sense the location of the inner demons. Originally, he had planned to wait for the inner demons to reconstruct their bodies before coming to him. But now, he had to find the inner demons to find out about many things. For example, the foundation of the Central Dynasty. For example, how long would it take for the people of the Central Dynasty to come out and reach the 4 great continents? He sensed that they soon entered the sea. The sea was boundless, but the sea had been dyed red with blood. Corpses of the sea race could be seen everywhere. This was the masterpiece of the white-eyed wolf and the lunatic. Sometimes, they would also encounter some remnants of the sea race. Because the news of the 3 of them appearing in Qingtian City had spread, the remnants of the sea race thought that the East continent was safe. But they did not expect to see the 3 of them in the sea. Were they here to kill them all? So, any remnants of the sea race who saw Qin Feiyang and the other 2 immediately fled desperately. However, Qin Feiyang and the other 2 did not chase after them. There was indeed no need. After losing Neptune, the sea gods, and the core members of the sea race on the sea gods island, the rest of the sea race were no longer a concern. The most important thing was, now, whether it was the sea race or the beast race, those who had mastered the ultimate profundity had basically been captured. Even if there were some who escaped, they could be ignored. About an hour later, the 3 of them had already gone deep into the sea. A small island entered their line of sight. On the island, rocks were everywhere, and the plants were withered and yellow. This was an inconspicuous island. The diameter of the entire island was only about 100,000 feet. There were no powerful sea beasts on the island, nor were there any members of the sea race living on it. But this time, Qin Feiyong came for this island. They are here. Seeing Qin Feiyong stop, the lunatic and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other and immediately scanned the island. Other than some weak sea beasts, there was not even a shadow of a person.
Yes.
I just don't know if the other 8 prodigies are with them. Qin Feiyong whispered, "Wouldn't it be better if they are together?" The lunatic bared his teeth. Once the 8 prodigies fell into their hands, they would be able to obtain dozens of ultimate profundities. The white-eyed wolf also snickered. Boom! Divine sense rolled out and instantly enveloped the entire island. The next moment, 2 streams of light rushed out from a hole on the island and landed in front of Qin Feiyong and the other 2, gradually turning into 2 figures. That's right. It was the inner demons and Lu Jiajin. And at this moment, they were not wearing masks. That familiar face, that familiar gaze, made Qin Feiyong extremely excited. The white-eyed wolf was the same. The lunatic looked at the 2 of them curiously. The inner demons looked exactly the same as Qin Feiyong. Lu Jiajin also had an imposing appearance and was a talent. Qin Feiyong spoke, but he seemed to have some concerns. It's okay. It's very convenient now. You can say whatever you want. Lu Jiajin smiled slightly. Cousin. When Qin Feiyong heard this, he couldn't control the emotions in his heart. He quickly ran over, and his eyes were filled with tears. After so many years, why are you still like a kid? The inner demons looked at him with disdain. Who's a kid? Aren't I happy? Qin Feiyong wiped away his tears and glared at the inner demons. Ha ha. The inner demons laughed. But the next moment, killing intent flashed in his eyes, and a wave of divine sense gushed out and blasted toward the island below. Boom! With a loud bang, the island turned into ashes on the spot, and all the sea beasts on the island disappeared as if they had evaporated into thin air. What are you doing? Qin Feiyong was surprised. The inner demons said, "We can't let these sea beasts know about our relationship. Otherwise, it won't be good for both of us." Qin Feiyong nodded and looked at the 2 with a smile. How have you been these years? Haven't you seen it all? We've been living a better life than you. The inner demon snickered. Qin Feiyong smiled bitterly. You've been living a good life, but these years, we've been in so much pain that we wish we were dead, especially little Qin Zi. He's been living in self-blame every day, knowing that he killed you. The white-eyed wolf pursed his lips. So, you're going to ask us to compensate you for your mental loss? The inner demons asked. Not bad. After so many years, you still know me so well. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. Look at you. Even I know what you're going to do when you stick out your butt. The inner demons despised him. Huh. The white-eyed wolf laughed dryly. Lu Jiajin looked at the white-eyed wolf and the inner demons, and then looked at Qin Feiyong and said with a smile, "It's good that you're all alive." The 3 of them were stunned and looked at each other. After a long time, they nodded and said, "Yes." It could be said that. There was nothing happier than this. Lu Jiajin looked at Madman and said with a smile, "Little cousin, don't you want to introduce him?" Yes, yes, yes. Qin Feiyong patted his head, hurriedly pulled Madman to his side, and said with a smile, "This guy is Madman Emo. We met in the ancient world, and he is very familiar with the 2 ancestors. If he hadn't taken care of me in the ancient world, I don't know how many dangers I would have encountered. I've heard of Brother Mo's name a long time ago. Thank you for taking care of Feiyong." Brother Mo, Lu Jiajin cupped his hands and smiled. "I'm also an ancestor-level senior. It's my duty to take care of a junior like him." Madman bared his teeth. The corner of Qin Feiyong's mouth twitched. He was really thinking about taking advantage of him all the time. The white-eyed wolf smiled mysteriously and said, "And this guy has another identity." What identity? The inner demons and Lu Jiajin were curious. The reincarnation of the Blood Demon King. The white-eyed wolf said, "The Blood Demon King." The 2 looked at Madman in surprise. "You also know about the Blood Demon King?" This time, it was Qin Feiyong and the other 2 who were a little surprised. "We know a little. When we came to the 4 great continents, we inquired about the grudges between the Divine Kingdom and the Sky Cloud Realm. Among them is the grudges between the Blood Demon King and Ji Yun Hai." Lu Jiajin nodded and smiled. looking at Madman and said, I really didn't expect you to be his reincarnation. Brother Mo's righteous deeds in his previous life are admirable. It's nothing. Madman waved his hand, blushing. Qin Feiyang asked, Cousin, inner demons, why don't we go to the Black Tortoise Realm? Okay. We also want to see what the Black Tortoise Realm has become after all these years. Lu Jiajin smiled. By the way, where are the 8 prodigies who came with you? The white-eyed wolf looked at the two suspiciously. They returned to the Central Dynasty. Lu Jiajin said, They went back so soon? The 3 were surprised. What can these trash do if they stay? The inner demon's face was full of disdain. Hearing this, the 3 were speechless. The prodigies who mastered the will of the heavenly Tao were trash? If these 8 people were trash, then what were Ryuko and the others? Were they worse than trash? Sure enough, the inner demons were as arrogant as ever. That's a pity. I wanted to deprive them of their ultimate meaning. The white-eyed wolf shook his head. When they returned to the Central Dynasty, they could only stare. Chapter 42:13. Deprive the ultimate profound. Lu Jiajin glanced at the white-eyed wolf, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, What exactly is this deprive the ultimate profound? You'll know when you go to the Black Tortoise world. Qin Feiyang smiled. With a wave of his hand, the 5 of them appeared in the tea garden of the Devil's Land. So many herbs? Looking at the current Black Tortoise world, the inner demons were dumbfounded. What rich energy! Lu Jiajin was also shocked. It's changed a lot. Qin Feiyang smiled. It's not just big, it's a completely different world from before. The inner demons was filled with emotions. He scanned the Devil's Land and asked, Where are we now? The Devil's Land. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. What? The Devil's Land? The inner demons was stunned. In his impression, the Devil's Land was an extremely dangerous and desolate place. But now, here, the sun was shining brightly and auspicious vapors were rising. It was simply a paradise. Is this a place? Don't fool me. Over the years, he had imagined the changes of the Black Tortoise world. But now, the scene he saw was completely beyond his imagination. Why would I fool you? Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. But to be honest, it's not easy for the Black Tortoise world to grow to this point. It was a simple sentence, but it contained all of the bitterness. Definitely. The inner demons nodded. Not to mention the growth of a world. Even the growth of a person had to experience countless setbacks and tribulations. Where are they? Madman scanned the sky suspiciously. Long Qin, Xiao Shui, and the others. Why wasn't there a single person? Moreover, the countless remnant souls suppressed, and the 3 high-grade sovereign divine weapons were nowhere to be seen. Qin Feiyang also noticed this, and a trace of suspicion appeared on his face. Just as he was about to release his perception to search for Long Qian and the others, a beautiful figure descended from the sky. It was Fire Lotus. Qindage. Fire Lotus smiled and landed in front of Qin Feiyang and the others. The inner demons, Lu Jiajin, looked at Fire Lotus suspiciously. Where are Long Chun and the others? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. I sent them to Soulseal Valley. After all, everyone is cultivating in seclusion. I don't want to be disturbed. Fire Lotus smiled. I see. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization and said with a smile, You are so thoughtful. Wait a moment. Why do I feel like she's familiar? The inner demon said as she sized up the fiery lotus, her face full of suspicion. Fire Lotus also looked at the inner demons and smiled. Long time no see. We know each other. The inner demons was surprised. Fire Lotus pursed her lips and smiled. She looked at the inner demons and said, Think about it carefully. The inner demons lowered his head and pondered, but he couldn't think of anything. Let me give you a reminder. The land of the undead in the ancient world. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. The ancient world. The land of the undead. The inner demons murmured. You still can't think of anything? The white-eyed wolf said helplessly. Let me give you another reminder. A rusty axe. A rusty axe. The inner demons lowered his head and pondered. After a long time, a trace of surprise gradually appeared in his eyes. He looked at Fire Lotus and asked, "You can't be that undead from back then, right?" "That's me." Fire Lotus nodded. The inner demons was dumbfounded. Back then, when Qin Feiyang first entered the ancient world, he met Fire Lotus. Later, when Qin Feiyang returned to the Great Qin and fought with the Demon Lord and the others, Fire Lotus had been in the Black Tortoise realm. At that time, the inner demons were still around, so he knew about Fire Lotus. However, because Fire Lotus hadn't reconstructed her physical body at that time, the inner demons felt a sense of familiarity. "How is it? You didn't expect that the little undead who shamelessly followed us back then was actually such a stunning beauty, right?" The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. "Brother Wolf, what nonsense are you talking about?" Fire Lotus's cheeks turned red. "Haha," the white-eyed wolf laughed. "I really didn't expect it. It's too surprising." The inner demon shook his head and asked, "So now, you're no longer an undead?" This was because he didn't feel the slightest bit of undead chi on Fire Lotus. She's already gone through her tribulation and got rid of her undead body. Qin Feiyang smiled. No wonder. The inner demons nodded in realization. All these years, it's all thanks to this girl. Do you know who's the one who made the Black Tortoise realm what it is today? It's Fire Lotus. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. The Black Tortoise realm today is the result of everyone's hard work. I don't dare to claim this credit alone. Fire Lotus hurriedly waved her hands. Don't be humble. With this noble one's brain, how can I manage such a big world? The inner demons looked at Qin Feiyang with disdain. You make it sound like I'm stupid. Qin Feiyang was speechless. I'm your inner demons. Don't I know you? The inner demons rolled his eyes. Can you give me some face? Qin Feiyang's face darkened. They started to undermine him as soon as they met. They were born from the same root. Why are you so anxious to destroy each other? Fire Lotus couldn't help but snicker at the side. Qin Feiyang pointed at Lu Jiajin and said with a smile, "Girl, let me introduce you. This is my cousin, the owner of the Eye of Nothingness, Lu Jiajin." "Hello." Lu Jiajin reached out his hand with a gentle smile on his face. "Hello." Fire Lotus also reached out her hand. The white-eyed wolf sized up the two of them. His eyes turned slightly, and he transmitted his voice, "Little Qinzi, haven't you been worrying about Fire Lotus's marriage? Isn't this the best opportunity?" "Huh." Qin Feiyang turned to look at the white-eyed wolf. "Look at them. How compatible." The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He couldn't help but size up his cousin and Fire Lotus. Don't say it. At first glance, they were indeed quite compatible. The man was dignified and had an extraordinary temperament. The woman was as beautiful as a flower and as beautiful as the moon. The most important thing was, Lu Jiajin and Fire Lotus were both his family members. As the saying goes, one should not let one's own fertile water flow into one's own fields. He could really matchmake them. What do you think? The white-eyed wolf snickered. Not bad, not bad. Qin Feiyang nodded. The white-eyed wolf chuckled and said, "Cousin?" "Huh." Lu Jiajin turned to look at him. "By the way, are you still single?" The white-eyed wolf snickered. "What do you mean?" Lu Jiajin looked at him in confusion. "Just answer me," the white-eyed wolf urged. Before Lu Jiajin could speak, the inner demon said first, "Even if he is single, he deserves it." "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyang and the other two looked at the inner demons suspiciously. "You don't know how popular he is in the Central Dynasty. The women who like him can line up from the West Continent to the East Continent, and those women are all God's favored daughters of the Central Dynasty. Even the princess of the Central Dynasty, the apple of the Emperor's eye, admires him. But this guy is just like an ice-cold rock, completely ignoring them. I'm even suspecting if there's something wrong with him in that aspect." The inner demons despised him. Qin Feiyang and the other two looked at Lu Jiajin in astonishment. Was it so exaggerated? The line could line up from the West Continent to the East Continent? Even the Emperor's daughter fell in love with him? I'm not exaggerating at all. If you don't believe me, you can go to the Central Dynasty and have a look. The inner demons pursed his lips. Are you jealous? Lu Jiajin looked at the inner demons in amusement. What's there to be jealous of? The inner demons didn't care. Big Cousin is indeed Big Cousin. His charm is unparalleled. Qin Feiyang bared his teeth. Lu Jiajin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. How could the inner demons be so exaggerated? In that case, you're still single. The white-eyed wolf said. Why? Are you going to introduce me to someone? Lu Jiajin asked jokingly. Yes. Far away on the horizon, close in front of you. The white-eyed wolf nodded. Suddenly, he raised his naughty paw and pushed Fire Lotus hard. Caught off guard, Fire Lotus immediately fell into Lu Jiajin's arms. Lu Jiajin was stunned. He quickly reached out and held Fire Lotus, afraid that she would fall. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. Who would have thought that the white-eyed wolf would do such a thing? They were all stunned on the spot. Fire Lotus and Lu Jiajin, who were hugging each other, were at a loss for a moment. When they came back to their senses, Lu Jiajin quickly let go of Fire Lotus. Fire Lotus also hurriedly got up from Lu Jiajin's arms. She turned her head and glared at the white-eyed wolf, saying, Brother Wolf, what are you doing? After saying that, she turned and left angrily, her cheeks flushed red. Ha! The white-eyed wolf laughed. The more he looked at them, the more compatible they were. Chapter 42:14. You're a little too much. Madman glared at the white-eyed wolf. The two of them had just met. How could he be so direct? Although Fire Lotus was the 9th Heaven Palace Master and had seen the world, she was still a woman and was thin-skinned. Don't you think they're a good match? The white-eyed wolf looked at Madman unhappily. A good match is a good match, but shouldn't they get to know each other first? Madman was furious. It was simply more of a hindrance. What's there to understand? We know Big Cousin's character and personality. We also know Fire Lotus's character and personality. There's no need to go through those formalities. Just bow to heaven and earth and enter the bridal chamber. Big Cousin, don't you think so? The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth at Lu Jiajin. Lu Jiajin hadn't recovered yet, and when he heard this, he couldn't help but be angry. How could he matchmake them like this? Bow to heaven and earth and enter the bridal chamber? Why didn't he just skip the bow to heaven and earth and enter the bridal chamber directly? After all, it was a major event in life. Why did he make it so childish? Don't mess around. Lu Jiajin glared at the white-eyed wolf, then looked at Fire Lotus's back and said with a smile, To be valued by little cousin, she must be a good woman. I can't delay her. See, this is the standard of a good man. I'd rather be a bachelor than ruin her. Madman looked at the white-eyed wolf and said with disdain, Wait, what do you mean? I'm a bad man? I'm in a relationship, so I'm ruining her? Little Madman, you have to make yourself clear today, or I won't let you off. The white-eyed wolf grabbed Madman's clothes and roared fiercely. However, Madman ignored him. I really miss it. Seeing Madman and the white-eyed wolf fighting, the inner demon sighed. They hadn't seen this scene for many years. His last impression was the scene of white-eyed wolf, Lu Zhang, and Ling Yunfei fooling around. But now, it was a lunatic. But it could be seen that this lunatic had a very good relationship with Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. They were the kind of brothers who would risk their lives for each other. Where are Fatso, Ling Yunfei, and Lu Zhang? The inner demons asked. Them. They're all enjoying life in Great Qin. Now, they have many children and grandchildren. The white-eyed wolf said, Children and grandchildren? The inner demons were stunned. Yeah, many years ago, they already had children. Before coming to the Sky Cloud realm, we went back. Those little brats were already drinking and picking up girls everywhere. The white-eyed wolf bared its fangs. So you're saying that the student has surpassed the master? The inner demons were astonished. Of course. Can our descendants be bad? The white-eyed wolf smiled proudly, then looked at Lu Jiajin, bared its fangs, and said, Big Cousin, you have to hurry up. Otherwise, when you go back, Lu Zhang's great-grandchildren will be everywhere. Lu Jiajin smiled bitterly and asked, Then who did he marry? You all know her, Little Hong. The white-eyed wolf said, Lu Hong? Lu Jiajin recalled a little and asked, Yes. The white-eyed wolf nodded. Not bad. Lu Jiajin nodded. What's not bad? He's a total henpecked husband. He's a disgrace to us men. The white-eyed wolf's face was full of disdain. Great Sheen. A man in his 30s was sitting in the courtyard, leisurely drinking tea. Achoo. Suddenly, he sneezed. What's wrong? Next to him, a beautiful woman was washing clothes. Hearing the sneeze, she raised her head and looked at the young man suspiciously. Needless to say, someone must be thinking of me. The man bared his teeth, looking like he was asking for a beating. You're old and indecent. The beautiful woman glared at him, looked up at the sky, and muttered, I wonder how Dage and the others are doing now? Yes. After so many years, they haven't come back to visit us. How heartless. The man shook his head and sighed. What are you talking about? You haven't gone back for so many years. Shouldn't you be worried about them? You still say that they have no conscience. I think the older you get, the thicker your skin becomes. The beautiful woman glared at him fiercely. If I wasn't thick-skinned, how could I have pursued you? The man bared his teeth and stretched out his naughty hand. Scram. The beautiful woman's cheeks turned red. She slapped the man's hand away and said angrily, The older you get, the more indecent you become. I'm not decent. Hurry up, let's go make another one. The man chuckled, picked up the beautiful woman, and ran into the house. Black Tortoise World. Lu Jiajin and the inner demons looked at each other. Looking at the white-eyed wolf, they were speechless. After so many years, this wolf cub's character really hadn't changed at all. A few words could anger people to death. The inner demons was silent for a while. Looking at Qin Feiyong, he asked, What about them? Them? Qin Feiyong was stunned. It's Mom and Dad. The inner demons stammered. Qin Feiyong couldn't help laughing and said, My parents are your parents. Why are you being so shy? The inner demons laughed dryly. They're all very good, and they gave birth to many younger brothers and sisters for us. Qin Feiyong smiled. What? Many younger brothers and sisters? The inner demons were dumbfounded. Hey, why are you so surprised? They're still so young. Is there a problem with having a few children? Qin Feiyong stared at him speechlessly. No problem. I'm just a little surprised. The inner demons hurriedly waved his hands. It's really quite surprising. Lu Jiajin also nodded and asked, Have you seen them? Yes. The last time I saw them, except for the youngest pair of twins, the others had already grown up. Qin Feiyong nodded. There are twins? The inner demons was stunned. Yes. A younger brother, a younger sister, a pair of twins. Qin Feiyong nodded and smiled. Damn. Our father is still vigorous despite his age. The inner demon's mouth twitched. He could even make twins. Awesome. Qin Feiyong shook his head and smiled bitterly. The inner demons were becoming more and more like the white-eyed wolf. They couldn't even say anything nice. What's their character like? Lu Jiajin asked with a smile. Some are okay, and some are not. After all, they were born in the royal family. It's inevitable to fight for power. However, when I went back, I cleaned them up. Now they're not bad. Qin Feiyong nodded. How did you clean them up? The inner demons were curious. How else can I clean them up? I taught them a good lesson. Qin Feiyong was speechless. Why were they like curious babies? You taught them a good lesson? Don't joke. I guess they were tortured by you quite a bit. The inner demons rolled his eyes. Qin Feiyong smiled bitterly. As expected of his inner demons, they knew him very well. He smiled and said, Anyway, everyone has changed a lot. But no matter what, father and mother have always been worried about you. If they know that you're still alive, I don't know how happy they will be. The inner demons heard this and felt a lump in his throat. It's okay. When the matter in the divine kingdom is settled, we'll go back together. Qin Feiyong smiled. Okay. The inner demons nodded. Tada. At this time, with a series of footsteps, 3 beautiful figures walked over. It was the mermaid princess, Fire Dance, and Zhuo Shaoxian. Why are you here? The white-eyed wolf was stunned. The mermaid princess smiled and said, I heard from Fire Lotus that Big Cousin and the inner demons came to the Black Tortoise World, so we came to see. The inner demons and Lu Jiajin immediately looked at the 3 girls. Of course, they knew the mermaid princess. Not only did they know her, but they were also very familiar with her. But Fire Dance and Zhuo Xiaoxian were very unfamiliar with her. Cousin, inner demons. The mermaid princess walked over and stood beside Qin Fei Yang with a gentle smile. Good, good, good. After all these years, you've become more and more beautiful. My little cousin, I don't know what good karma he accumulated in his previous life. Lu Jiajin nodded and was very pleased. Ahem. I'm not bad either, okay? Qin Feiyang coughed dryly and looked at Lu Jiajin unhappily. Brat. Lu Jiajin scolded jokingly. Qin Feiyang hugged the mermaid princess and looked at the inner demons and Lu Jiajin, saying, Let me formally introduce you. This is your sister-in-law, my wife. Huh. The two of them were stunned. Sister-in-law? In that case, yes, we're married. Qin Feiyang nodded. The two of them looked at each other. Already married? No way. They always thought that Qin Feiyang was still single. That was because in their memories, Qin Feiyang was a blockhead. Things like marriage were simply too distant. Look carefully, don't we look very compatible? Qin Feiyang bared his teeth. Shameless. The inner demons immediately looked disdainful. Zhuo Xiaoxian and Fire Dance also looked at Qin Feiyang speechlessly. They hadn't realized that Qin Feiyang also had such a narcissistic side. Lu Jiajin shook his head and looked at Zhuo Xiaoxian and Fire Dance. He asked suspiciously, Then who are these two? The madman and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other and immediately stepped forward. They hugged Zhuo Xiaoxian and Fire Dance, declaring their sovereignty. They were afraid that Lu Jiajin and the inner demons would take a fancy to the two women and take them away. Even you have found your other half? The inner demons looked at the white-eyed wolf in shock. Speak properly. What do you mean, even I have found my other half? With my handsome and suave temperament, the women who pursue me can line up from the sky cloud realm to the divine kingdom. Even Sister Feng took the initiative to pursue me. The white-eyed wolf was showing off when Fire Dance pinched the flesh on his waist, causing him to grimace in pain. Brag, keep bragging. The inner demons mocked him mercilessly. Sister Feng, leave me some face. The white-eyed wolf begged for mercy. Fire Dance rolled her eyes at him. Looking at Lu Jiajin and the madman, she smiled and said, Then I will call you big brother like Qin Dage and this wolf cub. Okay. Lu Jiajin nodded. Wait a moment. Why did the inner demons become big brother? The white-eyed wolf quickly interrupted the two and frowned. You have a problem? The inner demons looked at him with bad intentions. Of course. I don't. How dare I have a problem? Big brother, I will follow you from now on. You have to protect me. The white-eyed wolf grinned and grinned. With the demon king true body and the law of life and death, who would dare to be arrogant? The inner demon's mouth twitched slightly. Looking at the three couples in front of him, he nodded and smiled. Very good. Congratulations. Thank you. The three women looked at each other and smiled sweetly. Chapter 42:15. What's the point of a simple blessing? Give me something more practical. Do you think it's so easy to be the big brother? The white-eyed wolf grinned. The inner demons and Lu Jiajin looked at each other helplessly. This wolf cub was really digging a hole with every step he took. The inner demon said, You don't need anything now, do you? Yes. For example, the demon king true form, or the law of life and death. The white-eyed wolf grinned. Piss off. The inner demon's face darkened. Stingy. The white-eyed wolf grumbled. I don't want to waste my time talking to you. The inner demons glared at him, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Let's go. Take us to the Black Tortoise realm. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. He looked at the mermaid princess and the other two and said, Go and cultivate in seclusion. I have a feeling that the war between us and the Central Dynasty will erupt soon. When that happens, we won't be able to take care of you. Don't worry. I won't be a burden, Fire Dance said calmly. Of course. Why would my sister Phoenix be a burden? We still need Sister Phoenix to turn the tide in the future. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. Stop flattering me. Fire Dance glared at him. Then, the three girls left hand in hand. Zhuo Xiaoxian looked at the mermaid princess and asked innocently, Big Sister Mermaid, Is he really the inner demons? Yes. The mermaid princess nodded. The inner demons are so kind. This is the first time I've seen them. Zhuo Shaoxian was surprised. What kind of person did you think he was? The mermaid princess asked with a smile. I thought. Zhuo Shaoxian pondered for a while and said with a smile, I thought he was a cold-blooded, ruthless demon. The mermaid princess shook her head and laughed. The inner demons in the past were indeed like that. But now, if one didn't see it with their own eyes, it would be hard to imagine that he was the inner demons. Little lunatic, how dare your little girlfriend talk about our inner demons like that? Big brother, are you tired of living? The white-eyed wolf chuckled. Stop trying to drive a wedge between us. Madman glared at him, then looked at the inner demons. Not to mention Zhuo Shaoxian. Even he was wondering if those were Qin Feiyang's inner demons. How could the inner demons be so amiable? Let's go. Qin Feiyang smiled. Hence, the group of 5 left the demonic land and headed to the central prefecture and the 4 great domains. Half a year passed. The half a year here referred to the time in the Black Tortoise realm. In the outside world, only a short while had passed. Half a year later, the 5 of them traveled around the Black Tortoise world. Looking at the current Black Tortoise world, even Qin Feiyang was shocked, because the current Black Tortoise world was comparable to 2 eastern continents. Its growth rate was too fast. In fact, he didn't know that the last time the Black Tortoise world and the ancient castle evolved, the Black Tortoise world instantly soared by a large margin. Whether it was the central prefecture or the 4 great domains, they had far surpassed the past. Even Qin Feiyang was like this, let alone the inner demons and Lu Jiajin. The feelings in their hearts could only be described as shock. This was a completely different world from the Black Tortoise world of the past. It was already a real world. What surprised them the most was the local customs here. In the past half a year, they rarely saw fighting and killing. Whether it was humans or beasts, everyone was as harmonious as a family. To be able to manage the Black Tortoise world like this Fire Lotus is really a capable woman. Old Lu, why don't you consider it? The inner demons couldn't help but feel a sense of admiration. The corner of Lu Jiajin's mouth twitched, and he said speechlessly, even you are fooling around? What do you mean fooling around? Haven't you seen my attitude towards Fire Lotus? If an ordinary man wants to touch Fire Lotus, he probably won't allow it. The inner demons chuckled. We'll talk about it later. Lu Jiajin waved his hand, looking a little helpless. The white-eyed wolf's eyes lit up and asked, So, you're actually interested in Fire Lotus? Aren't you guys annoying? I just met her. What kind of feelings can I have? If you continue to fool around, you guys will send me out. Lu Jiajin's face darkened. What kind of people were these? It was as if he missed out on Fire Lotus, he would really be a bachelor for the rest of his life. Okay. Take it slow, take it slow. The white-eyed wolf hurriedly waved his hand. Unknowingly, the soul-sealing valley entered their sight. But they didn't approach. The group landed on the mountain peak and watched from afar. Long Chun was in charge of extracting the ultimate mysteries. Long Qin assisted from the side. Xiao Shui and the other 2 were even more busy. After observing for a moment, Lu Jiajin nodded in realization and said, So that's how it's extracted. This Long Chun is really scary. He has another identity. Qin Feiyang smiled. What identity? The inner demons and Lu Jiajin were suspicious. Ice Dragon's son. Qin Feiyang said. What? He's actually Ice Dragon's son. Their eyes trembled. Immediately after, a hint of killing intent flashed in the eyes of the inner demons. Don't be impulsive. Now we've reconciled. Furthermore, Long Chun is a person worth befriending. Qin Feiyang hurriedly said. Reconciled? The inner demons frowned. Qin Feiyang was stunned for a moment, but soon understood what the inner demons meant. He smiled and said, We reconciled with Long Chen and Long Qin. Ice Dragon hasn't. The inner demons nodded and slowly withdrew their killing intent. Lu Jiajin was more indifferent and asked, So, you have a lot of ultimate mysteries now? Yes. Last time, when we captured the core members of the Sea Clan, we obtained tens of thousands of ultimate mysteries of the strongest laws, and countless ordinary ultimate mysteries of the laws. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Then, everyone in the Devil's Land can master the will of heavenly Tao? The inner demons was surprised. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Your actions are a bit too big. The inner demons was amazed, then looked at Long Chun from afar and whispered, It seems that this person is indeed different from his father. What happened back then? Since the topic had changed to this point, the white-eyed wolf couldn't help but ask, Let's go to the tea garden first and sit down and talk slowly. Qin Feiyang smiled and said. Without disturbing Long Chun, the group turned and left. Tea garden. Qin Feiyang brewed a pot of Bodhi divine tea. This is supreme-grade divine tea? Lu Jiajin tasted it, and his eyes lit up. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Supreme-grade divine tea is rare in the Central Dynasty. Where did you snatch this from? Lu Jiajin was curious. Snatch? Cough, cough. Don't be so rude. Qin Feiyang smiled and explained. This is a gift from Lord Jiu. Lord Jiu? Lu Jiajin and the inner demons were stunned. Lord Jiu of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon Clan. Qin Feiyang said. What? You have something to do with the Purple Gold Divine Dragon Clan? The inner demons frowned. We have long wanted to tell you about this, but we never had the chance. Actually, my lord, the Divine King, the sovereign of the human race, has secretly formed an alliance with us. Qin Feiyang said. Alliance? The two of them looked at each other. There was such a thing? It took us a lot of effort to persuade them. So in the future, when you meet the Divine King, my lord, sovereign, heavenly Lord Ji and Lord Jiu, you have to be gentle. Qin Feiyang smiled. We almost did more harm than good. If it weren't for you Lao, I would have killed the Divine King and my lord when we went to the mythical island last time. The inner demons smiled bitterly. If they had killed the Divine King and my lord, the alliance between Qin Feiyang and the three major races would have collapsed, and Qin Feiyang's plan would have been disrupted. There's no need to worry about things that didn't happen. Tell me, where have you been all these years? This was what Qin Feiyang was most concerned about. All these years, the inner demons and Lu Jiajin couldn't help but fall into deep thought. It's a long story. After a long time, Lu Jiajin sighed deeply. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Back then on the third floor of the Divine Ruins, we also thought we would die. However, in the end, the ice dragon and the little critter didn't kill us. Not only did they not kill us, they even sent us to a place. Where? The three of them were surprised. I don't know. A place we've never seen before. Apart from a statue, there was nothing else. Lu Jiajin said, A statue? Qin Feiyang and the other two looked at each other. Yes, a statue. This statue doesn't have a face. We don't know who it is. Ice Dragon and Small Beast didn't tell us either. They only told us that if we sat under the statue, we would get twice the result with half the effort. At first, we were skeptical, but when we really sat under the statue and began to cultivate, we found that it was really different. In just half a year, we broke through from War God to Divine Lord, and in less than a year, we broke through from Divine Lord to Paragon God. Even comprehending the ultimate profound was like the help of God. Lu Jiajin said with disbelief, It can't be. Qin Feiyang and the other two were shocked. In less than half a year, they broke through from War God to Divine Lord. This speed could only be described as abnormal. However, a lot of things happened during this period. That ice dragon would come looking for us whenever it had the time and beat us up until we were covered in wounds, especially the inner demons. No matter how badly they were beaten, they were still arrogant. You can say that. Every time Ice Dragon appeared, it was the end of the world for us. Lu Jiajin smiled bitterly. Sooner or later, I'll get even with him. The inner demons snorted, killing intent flashing in their eyes. Qin Feiyang frowned. Ice Dragon kept beating the inner demons and Big Cousin, but he also injured them and sent them to that magical place to cultivate. Was it really like what Longqin said, that Ice Dragon was nurturing the inner demons and Big Cousin? We won't die anyway, and we can't escape, so we just calmed down and cultivated. We became stronger day by day, until we mastered the will of the heavens. Ice Dragon suddenly found us and gave us a mission. The mission was to sneak into the Central Dynasty, Lu Jiajin said. What? You already mastered the will of the heavens before entering the Divine Kingdom? The white-eyed wolf was shocked. Yes. Lu Jiajin nodded. This. Qin Feiyang and the other two were in disbelief. What kind of place could let the two of them comprehend the ultimate profound of the 6 ultimate profound laws so quickly? They had always thought that the two of them entered the Central Dynasty and were valued by the emperor, who gave them the inheritance. They didn't expect that they had comprehended it themselves. Chapter 42:17. 5 Unparalleled Geniuses? It's not that I'm looking down on them, but I'm afraid they aren't even qualified to carry his shoes. The white-eyed wolf snorted. Lu Jiajin and the blood demon looked at each other. Between the mysterious youth and the 5 unparalleled geniuses, they didn't dare to say who was stronger or weaker. Because they had never seen the 5 unparalleled geniuses before, they had no idea how strong they were. However, they had experienced the youth's strength. Apart from the 3,000 clones and origin force, the other means weren't very impressive. He hadn't comprehended the law of life and death. He only had one will of the heavenly Tao. The battle soul hadn't appeared. If the youth didn't have the origin force, the inner demons were confident in defeating him. Of course, it was also possible that the youth hadn't displayed his full strength. But there was one thing to be thankful for. The mysterious youth was their partner, not their enemy. If the youth became their opponent, to be honest, with these means of the youth, they would have a headache just thinking about it. How long will it take for the Central Dynasty to reach the 4 great continents? Qin Feiyang asked. About 3 months. Lu Jiajin pondered for a while and said, So long? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Between the 2 continents, not only is there a separation of origin force, but the 2 seas also have the power of law. We can't teleport or use voice transmission, Lu Jiajin explained. So that's the case. Qin Feiyang nodded. Since they couldn't teleport, they could only fly. 3 months wasn't a long time to fly from one continent to the other. Will the emperor of the Central Dynasty also be restricted by this? The madman asked. And the only one who isn't restricted is the ruler of the Divine Kingdom. Lu Jiajin nodded. 3 months. The madman pondered for a while and turned to look at Qin Feiyang, saying, It seems that our plan will have to wait a little longer. And if the people of the Central Dynasty don't come, this plan will be meaningless. It's best to do it in front of the emperor. Qin Feiyang nodded. What plan? Lu Jiajin and the inner demons looked at the 3 of them curiously. A plan to protect the god race, the human race, and the purple gold divine dragon race. You will know in the future. Now, do you still need ultimate profound? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. The inner demons stared blankly for a moment before chuckling. If you want to give it to us, we won't hold back. It's better to be polite. The white-eyed wolf bared its fangs. Get lost. The inner demons rolled their eyes. The white-eyed wolf laughed and suddenly changed the topic. What do you think about the sky prides of the 3 major races? What else can I say? Just a bunch of trash. Back then, when I went to challenge them, I didn't even use a 10,000th of my strength. All of them fell to the ground like dead dogs. The inner demons were full of disdain. You've already grasped the will of the heavenly Tao. How can they compare to you? Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. Wasn't this bullying? Anyway, I just looked down on them. The inner demons waved its hand. If that's what you said, then I'll give up. I wanted to find a chance to train them. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. You still want to train them? I don't want to criticize you, but you're worrying too much. Instead of wasting energy, it's better to train the people of the Black Tortoise Realm. The Black Tortoise Realm is so big. There must be a few geniuses born there. The inner demons glared at him. Ultimate Profound was a precious resource. Besides, Ryuko and the others were trained by the Lord. Why did an outsider like you worry about that? Qin Feiyang quickly reminded, We're outsiders to the human race and the god race, but you can't say the same about the purple gold divine dragon race. What? You really want to train the purple gold divine dragon race? The inner demons frowned. How should I put it? The Lord is the grandfather of our ancestor. Lord Ji is our ancestor's uncle. Even if he is the son of the dragon, he is still our ancestor's cousin. If the Lord is still the same as before, then there's no need to say more. But now, we formed an alliance with the purple gold divine dragon race, especially the elders like Lord Ji. They treat us like their own children, so there are many things we have to consider now. More. Our ancestor's birth mother, the daughter of the Lord, has contributed a lot to the sky cloud realm. If it weren't for her, the great Qin would have been destroyed. Qin Feiyang sighed. You mean, our ancestor's birth mother is still alive? The inner demons were surprised. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Where is she? Is she in the Black Tortoise realm? The inner demons were looking forward to it. It was because of this woman that the current Qin clan existed. The inner demons were born because of Qin Feiyang, and since the princess of the divine kingdom was Qin Feiyang's ancestor, she was naturally the ancestor of the inner demons. No, I'm afraid you can't imagine where she is now. Qin Feiyang smiled. Where? The inner demons were curious. The great Qin. Qin Feiyang smiled. The great Qin? The inner demons and Lu Jiajin looked at each other. This was indeed a bit unexpected. I have to thank Long Chun for this matter. Qin Feiyang smiled. What does it have to do with him? The inner demons were suspicious. Qin Feiyang explained in detail how the princess of the divine kingdom went to find Long Chun and went to the great Qin. So that's how it is. The inner demons suddenly understood and frowned. What is this Long Chun trying to do? Why do I feel that he's always thinking about you? That's why I respect and admire him. Qin Feiyang smiled. Don't think of the problem so simply. Isn't there a saying like that? One who is unaccountably solicitous is hiding evil intentions. The inner demon snorted. You're measuring the heart of a gentleman with your own mean measure. The white-eyed wolf looked at him with disdain. Damn, even you trust him so much? The inner demons looked at the white-eyed wolf in surprise. There's no other way. We've all seen what he's done. If we still suspect him after all this, then we'll be heartless. The white-eyed wolf said, All right, I'll reserve my opinion. The inner demons felt helpless. Qin Feiyang looked at the inner demons and asked suspiciously, There's one more thing. Did you comprehend the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death after entering the divine kingdom? Yes, I comprehended the law of life and death a long time ago, but the ultimate meaning was comprehended in the central dynasty. It's also because I comprehended the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death and Big Cousin's eye of nothingness evolved that the Emperor values us so much. The inner demons nodded. The other half of the eye of nothingness is in the central dynasty? Qin Feiyang frowned. That's right. He's also a genius and is extremely arrogant. But I'm sorry, he's unlucky to have met us. We beat him to the ground in a few moves. The inner demon smiled proudly. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. To have met the inner demons, that person was indeed unlucky. He continued to ask, Then, did you find the other half of the Eye of Reincarnation in the Central Dynasty? Eye of Reincarnation. The inner demons pondered for a while and shook their heads. Not really. We haven't even heard of any information about the Eye of Reincarnation. So, the Eye of Reincarnation might really be in the Sky Cloud realm? Madman frowned. It's hard to say. Qin Feiyang shook his head. They still have to investigate thoroughly in the Divine Kingdom, because they can't rule out the possibility that the owner of the Eye of Reincarnation has a low-key personality or has been hiding in the dark. You can ask the monarch and the others to help investigate the 4 continents. As for the Central Dynasty, wait for us to go back and investigate it carefully. Also, investigate the background of the Death God Army. Lu Jiajin smiled slightly. Death God Army. Qin Feiyang murmured and frowned. From what you said before, if you don't have the trust of the Emperor, I'm afraid it will never be possible. So this is where we are worried. Lu Jiajin sighed. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, and his eyes suddenly lit up. The reason why the Emperor doesn't trust you is because he doesn't know your origin. If we find an opportunity to let him know your origin, won't it dispel his worries? Can we let him know our origin? The inner demons was speechless. Of course it's not my true origin. Qin Feiyang smiled. The inner demons looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously and asked, "You mean, create a fake identity?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. This wasn't the first time he did this. He was very experienced. Lu Jiajin shook his head and sighed. The idea is good, but the emperor is not stupid. How can it be so easy to fool him? If we can't fool him, it will make the emperor more suspicious of us. Then it depends on our acting skills. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, full of confidence. Lu Jiajin couldn't help laughing and nodded. Okay, since you are so confident, let's give it a try. But what if he asks the inner demons to take off their masks? That's easy. Just change your face. The white-eyed wolf said. Lu Jiajin smiled helplessly and said, "Do I need you to remind me of this little trick? We have thought about it. What we are afraid of is that the emperor will ask the inner demons to take the face-restoring pill or use the Heaven's Eye Stone to investigate." Hearing this, the white-eyed wolf's face froze. He laughed at his cousin for being stupid, but it turned out that he was the stupidest one. How about this? Qin Feiyang looked at the inner demons and said with a smile, "I'll have to trouble you first. Make your face scarred." Scarred? They looked at each other. Make your face unrecognizable and make up a sad story. Maybe it will not only dispel the emperor's suspicion, but also arouse his sympathy. Maybe he will even take you as his adopted son. Qin Feiyang smiled. Adopted son? The inner demon's mouth twitched. Adopted son or whatever, it doesn't matter. But this is a good idea. The white-eyed wolf thought for a while and nodded. This is a bit of a test of acting skills. Can you do it? The crazy man looked at the inner demons with a teasing smile. Who are you looking down on? The inner demons glared at the crazy man and then looked at Qin Feiyang, saying, "Okay, it's easy to make my face unrecognizable, but I'm not good at making up stories. You make it up." Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded and said with a smile, "Let's talk about the specifics first." In short, they must gain the emperor's trust. Otherwise, they would never know the foundation of the central dynasty. Chapter 42:18. Time passed quickly. After formulating the plan, Qin Feiyang brought the inner demons into the ancient castle's cultivation room. "What's up?" The inner demons looked at him suspiciously. "I want to show you something." Qin Feiyang smiled. "So mysterious. What is it?" The inner demons rolled their eyes, but their eyes were full of curiosity. Qin Feiyang took out his universe ring and carefully searched it. After a while, his eyes suddenly lit up, and he took out a jade scroll from his universe ring. The inner demons looked at the jade scroll suspiciously. "I found this in the ancient world back then. I spent a lot of effort to get it." Qin Feiyang handed the jade scroll to the inner demons. The inner demons took the jade scroll and sank their consciousness into it. They were slightly stunned. Chaos Origin Divine Art? That's right. This primordial chaos divine art is a secret technique that was specially created for people with inner demons. After cultivating the Chaos Origin Divine Art, the main body and the inner demons can become one, greatly increasing their strength. Qin Feiyang explained, "This is a legendary divine art. What can it do?" The inner demons frowned. Qin Feiyang said, "I'm also thinking about this problem. The level is definitely not enough." The inner demons pondered for a while and laughed. "However, we can improve on the foundation of the Chaos Origin Divine Art." Improve? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Generally speaking, this kind of special secret technique is not divided into levels, only realms. For example, the 3,000 incarnations and the Demon King's true body, they don't have levels, but realms are. For example, at the initial realm, how many incarnations can be activated, and at the initial realm, how many incarnations can be activated. It's also because of this that we can still activate these two killing techniques after stepping into the sovereign realm. From the current situation, this Chaos Origin Divine Art is not much different from ordinary divine arts, so I think it still needs to be improved. In other words, it can be modified into the same killing technique as the 3,000 incarnations and the Demon King true body. The inner demons said. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang felt a rush of excitement and asked, "Are you sure?" "Of course. I can even comprehend the Demon King's true body, let alone this thing. It's just a matter of time. If we study, comprehend, and improve together, we can achieve twice the result with half the effort. The inner demons smiled confidently. Me? Qin Feiyong was slightly taken aback. He smiled bitterly and said, "To be honest, I don't have much confidence." Hey, are you still the sovereign that I know? Back in the day, wasn't raising the level of the various divine arts and creating new moves as easy as playing around? The inner demons were speechless. How did he become so unconfident after all these years? Qin Feiyong smiled bitterly and sighed. Ever since I stepped into the sovereign realm, other than the profundities of the laws, I haven't studied anything else. I can't find the same feeling as before. It's fine as long as your talent hasn't changed. We're all people who have unlocked the gate of potential, yet you're still so unconfident. It's a bit embarrassing. The inner demons looked down on him. Qin Feiyong smiled bitterly and nodded. All right, let's work hard together. Now? The inner demons were stunned. What else? Qin Feiyong asked. This. The people from the Central Dynasty will arrive in the 4 great continents in 3 months. At that time, they will definitely contact me and my cousin. I'm afraid there won't be enough time. The inner demons were a bit worried. Don't worry. The Black Tortoise world has a time array, 5,000 years in 1 day. 3 months is a total of 450,000 years. 450,000 years should be enough for us to improve the Chaos Origin Divine Art. Qin Feiyong said, That's true. The inner demons nodded and asked, Then, shall we start seclusion? Let's do it. Qin Feiyong walked out of the castle and shouted, The inner demons and I are going into seclusion. Before we come out, no one is allowed to disturb us. Senior brother, White-Eyed Wolf, I'll leave the matter of Clear Sky City to you. After saying that, he returned to the castle and closed the door of the cultivation room with a bang. What's going on? In the tea garden, everyone looked at the castle, their faces full of suspicion. Why would they go into seclusion just like that? More importantly, why would they go into seclusion? Both of them weren't weak. If they wanted to comprehend laws and fuse ultimate mysteries, there was no need for them to do it together. If we can't go out, how are we going to go to Clear Sky City? The white-eyed wolf came back to his senses and looked at the mad scientist suspiciously. Are you stupid? Don't you know how to find the fire lotus? Madman rolled his eyes at him as a sinister smile flashed through his eyes. He said via voice transmission, We can also use this opportunity to matchmake Lu Jiajin and Hualien. Haha, you're so sneaky. The white-eyed wolf was stunned for a moment before laughing. The mad scientist suddenly thought of something and asked secretly, Brother Wolf, there's something I need to confirm with you. Do you really not have any thoughts about Longqin? How can I joke with you? The white-eyed wolf's face darkened. If that's the case, why don't we bring her and the inner demons together? The mad scientist thought. The white-eyed wolf was stunned and said speechlessly, You're bringing someone together whenever you see one. Were you a matchmaker in your previous life? Fuck. I was the savior of the world in my previous life. The Blood Demon King. The mad scientist cursed. Maybe the Blood Demon King is a matchmaker? The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. Scram. The mad scientist's face darkened and asked, What do you think of my suggestion? Facing this question, the white-eyed wolf couldn't help but feel an inexplicable emotion. The mad scientist blinked his eyes and looked at the white-eyed wolf. This wolf cub still said that he wasn't moved? If he wasn't moved, why would he hesitate for so long? Okay, it's just a joke. The mad scientist waved his hand. A joke? The white-eyed wolf was stunned. Hearing this, he felt a sense of relief in his heart, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. What was going on? Could it be that the unrestrained me really had feelings for this woman? Impossible. But the more he tried to deny it, the more he couldn't calm down. I say, what are you two whispering about? Lu Jiajin looked at the two warily. Nothing. The two looked at each other and quickly waved their hands. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth and said, Big cousin, let's go. We'll take you for a walk. A walk? No need. I still need to rebuild my body. Lu Jiajin quickly waved his hand. He definitely didn't have good intentions. You want to rebuild your body? That's good. Let's go find sister-in-law. She has the eye of life and can help you rebuild your body in minutes. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth and dragged Lu Jiajin to the courtyard. Frenzy looked at the white-eyed wolf's back. Should he find a chance to provoke the white-eyed wolf and Longqin? Otherwise, when would he be able to truly face his own heart? The next day, the sun was shining brightly in the west continent. The sky was blue and cloudless. However, at this moment, Qingtian City was covered by dark clouds, and the atmosphere was particularly depressing. Everyone gathered on the streets, their faces full of worry. Swoosh! At noon, 4 figures descended in the sky above Qingtian City. They were the monarch, the divine king, the human race's supremacy, and heavenly Lord Ji. Because the monarch and the other 2 hadn't rebuilt their bodies yet, heavenly Lord Ji played the role of a bodyguard. They're here. Qin Feiyang should be here soon. Seeing this scene, the people in the city felt even heavier. Would the 3 continents eventually follow in the footsteps of the East continent? Swoosh! After a while, a space-time tunnel appeared. 2 figures walked out. It was the Frenzy and the white-eyed wolf. He's here. Everyone immediately held their breaths and stared at the space-time tunnel. However, even when the space-time tunnel dissipated, they still didn't see Qin Feiyang come out. What was going on? Where was Qin Feiyang? Could it be that this was another trick to lure the tiger away from the mountain, letting the Frenzy and the white-eyed wolf restrain the monarch and the other 2 here while he went to attack Mount Supreme, the island, and the purple-gold divine dragon clan's territory? But thinking about it carefully, it was impossible. After all, with Qin Feiyang's current strength, he could directly kill his way to the 3 sacred lands. Qin Feiyang actually didn't come? Everyone immediately pondered. What was this person planning? The Frenzy glanced at the people in the city and said to the monarch and the other 3, Old Qin is busy today and has no time to meet you personally, so Brother Wolf and I will be the representatives to negotiate with you. What do you want to talk about? The monarch frowned. Let's talk about the future development of the Divine Kingdom. The Frenzy said, What does the development of the Divine Kingdom have to do with you? The Divine King's face was gloomy. Of course. We've already wiped out the beast race and the ocean race. I believe that the god race, the human race, and the purple gold divine dragon clan don't want to be the same as them. The Frenzy looked at the 4 of them with a mocking smile. The 4 of them looked at each other, and their eyes couldn't help but become gloomy. Actually, Brother Wolf and I have always thought of wiping out the 3 races directly, but there's no other way. Old Qin is too kind. He wants to leave you a way out. The Frenzy shook his head and sighed. Then shouldn't we thank him? Heavenly Lord Ji sneered. That's right. We really have to thank him properly. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here to negotiate with you, but to slaughter the 3 continents directly. The Frenzy's eyes flashed coldly. So what do you want to talk about? The Divine King said angrily. Surrender to us and work for us. The Frenzy said word by word. What? You want to subdue the 3 races? Everyone was shocked. This ambition was really not small. Now that the ocean race and the beast race were destroyed, if they really subdued the 3 races, then the 4 continents would be ruled by Qin Feiyang alone. When the king and the other 3 heard this, their eyes couldn't help but tremble. This is your only choice now. If you don't surrender to us, then you will die. Of course, we are also very fair. As long as you surrender to us, not only will we not harm you, but we will also help you to destroy the Divine Kingdom's rule over the 4 continents. The Frenzy said, No need. Lord Ruler has been very kind to us. We will never betray him. The king roared. Do you know what your name is? Foolish loyalty. With the current strength of the Divine Kingdom, you are no longer a match for the Sky Cloud realm. The Frenzy sneered. Don't be complacent. No one in the 4 continents can control you, but we still have the Central Dynasty. The human race sovereign said in a deep voice, The Central Dynasty? You mean Yu Lao and the others? They are just a bunch of trash. Don't be in a hurry to refuse. I will give you some time to think about it. 3 months later, at noon, in Qingtian City, give us a prepared answer. The frenzy smiled disdainfully, opened a space-time passage, and turned to leave. Think about it carefully. Don't dig your own grave. Even if little Chinzi is related to the purple gold divine dragon race, we will not show mercy. The white-eyed wolf also sneered, then followed into the space-time passage and soon disappeared without a trace. Chapter 42:19. Heavenly Lord, did you record it? The king sent a voice transmission as he watched the two leave.
Yes.
Heavenly Lord Ji replied secretly. His hand that was hidden in his sleeve was holding a divine voice transmission stone. All right, I'll spread this video later. When the people from the Central Dynasty come and see this video and see our loyalty to the Overlord, they will not suspect us. The king thought to himself. Understood. Heavenly Lord Ji nodded. 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, it was still in Qingtian City. But today, most of the people in Qingtian City were gone, because everyone was afraid of being killed by Qin Feiyang and the others. On the streets, there were also many people fleeing the city. However, there were 4 people who were particularly eye-catching. The 4 of them were 2 men and 2 women. They were not eye-catching because of their looks and temperament. In terms of temperament and looks, they were rather ordinary, and the aura they emitted was not strong. They were the kind of people that no one would take a second look at if they were placed in a crowd. However, the 4 of them did the exact opposite. In short, not only did they not flee Qingtian City, but they also went deeper into the city and walked slowly on the streets. What's going on? But when the 4 of them saw this scene, they were suspicious. Soon, they came to the entrance of a tavern. There was no one in the tavern, and it seemed extremely empty. The 4 of them looked at each other and walked into the tavern. Not even a waiter? Where is he? Are you not doing business? One of the young men shouted. Soon, a fat middle-aged fatso ran out suspiciously. He looked at the 4 of them and shook his head. What business? Run for your lives. After saying that, he did not care about the 4 of them and began to clean up the wine on the wine cabinet. Anyway, he kept it all in the black tortoise world, and it seemed that he was planning to escape. Uncle, what's going on? The 4 of them were puzzled. You don't know? The middle-aged fatso was stunned and looked at the 4 of them strangely. Where did they come from? They did not even know about such a big thing. I don't know. The 4 of them shook their heads. The middle-aged fatso was helpless. After collecting the wine on the wine cabinet, he looked at the 4 of them in a hurry and said, You guys run with me, or you will lose your lives here. So serious? The 4 of them looked at each other. You guys really don't know, or are you playing dumb? The tavern owner frowned. I really don't know. We just came from the countryside, and this is our first time in Qingtian City. Can you be more specific? One of the women girls said. What a freak. Even if you came from the countryside, you should know. The tavern owner was speechless. Who are you calling? These words seemed to have angered one of them. Inadvertently, he exuded a shocking, baleful aura. The tavern owner. This murderous aura didn't seem to belong to an ordinary person. Out of fear and anxiety, he ran outside. The young man with a murderous aura stepped in front of the door and coldly said, Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Not an ordinary person indeed. The tavern owner's heart skipped a beat. Looking at the empty streets outside, he said anxiously, Can we talk as we leave the city? Let's talk here. The young man's aura became more and more terrifying. With an invisible majesty, the tavern owner could not help but tremble. Tell us clearly, and we will let you go. One of the women smiled and seemed to be much gentler. Okay. The tavern owner gritted his teeth and said, 3 months ago, Madman Emo and Golden-Winged Wolf King invited the monarch and the other 2 to Qingyan City to judge. As the tavern owner continued to explain, the 4 of them finally understood. These people who fled were afraid of being implicated. So, Qin Feiyang and his group did not kill the Purple Gold Divine Dragon Clan, the Divine Race, and the Human Race because they wanted to persuade the monarch and the others to betray the Divine Kingdom? The young woman asked. Yes. The tavern owner nodded. What about the monarch and the others? The young woman was curious. Of course they will not betray the divine kingdom. The tavern owner said, "Why do you say that?" The young woman was suspicious. "You can ask around and you will know." "Why ask me?" The tavern owner was about to cry. If they did not leave now, it might really be too late. "Speak. If you don't speak, my companions will not let you leave." The young woman smiled. The tavern owner looked at the young man full of killing intent, and his pupils shrank. He said helplessly, "Fine. I will show you a video." After saying that, he took out the divine sound transmission stone and waved his hand. A video quickly unfolded in the void. It was the scene of the madman and the other two negotiating with the monarch and the others. Furthermore, even their voices could be heard clearly. At first, the four of them were very calm, but when they heard the monarch roar, "The monarch has been very kind to me. I will never betray him," the four of them could not help but be moved. This monarch did not disappoint the central dynasty. "Finished. Can you let me go now?" The tavern owner looked at the four of them pitifully. "It's just a few outsiders. Why are you so afraid?" The young man full of killing intent said angrily, as if he expected better from the tavern owner. "Just a few?" The tavern owner's mouth twitched. This tone was too arrogant. Who did not know the strength and methods of Qin Feiyong and his group? Even the beast race and the oceanic race were wiped out overnight, let alone a small character like him. If he did not leave, only death would await him. "Scram!" the young man shouted. The tavern owner immediately put away the divine sound transmission stone and ran past the young man, fleeing out of the city. The beast race and the oceanic race were wiped out one after another. However, the god race, the human race, and the purple gold divine dragon race are still safe and sound. I originally thought that the monarch, the divine king, and the sovereign of the human race might have some tricks up their sleeves, but it seems that I misunderstood them. Another young man shook his head. "What about now?" The young man full of killing intent asked, his eyes surging with bloody light. "Didn't Qin Feiyong and the others give the monarch and his group 3 months to consider? Now, it's exactly 3 months. Who knows, they might come to Clear Sky City later. Let's just wait for them here. I want to see how outstanding they are." The other young man smirked, exuding an arrogant aura. The aura of the two women instantly changed. Although they were still wearing ordinary clothes, they were like stars in the sky, making people not dare to look at them directly. "What about Lu Yunfeng and Lu Yuntian? Do we still need to find them?" The young man full of killing intent asked. "The 4 great continents are so big. Without the divine sound transmission stone, how can we find them? Let's ignore them for now. Once we act, the news will spread. When they know that we have come to the 4 great continents, they will come to find us." The two women said. At the same time, the black tortoise world. Why haven't they come out of seclusion? The frenzied one and the white-eyed wolf sat in the tea garden, each holding a wine jar. Looking at the silent castle, their brows furrowed. "What's the hurry? Although we agreed to meet today, it's not like we have to go." Lu Jiajin walked over. His figure was slender, his eyes were clear, and his black hair was like a waterfall. He exuded an extraordinary aura. "Big cousin, how are you getting along with the Fire Lotus?" The white-eyed wolf saw Lu Jiajin walk over and immediately asked with a sneaky smile. Lu Jiajin rolled his eyes. The white-eyed wolf and the frenzied one looked at each other and frowned. "Don't tell me that you haven't developed feelings for each other after 450,000 years? What nonsense are you talking about? It has indeed been 450,000 years in the black tortoise world, but we haven't been together every day." Lu Jiajin was speechless. Haven't been together every day? Then what have you been doing all these years?" The white-eyed wolf was stunned. "Playing in the black tortoise world. I also want to know what you have been through all these years. I say, don't think about it all day long. Feelings can't be forced. It depends on fate." Lu Jiajin shook his head. The white-eyed wolf was stunned and asked, "You mean, you and the Fire Lotus are not fated to be together?" "You can't say that." Lu Jiajin said. "Then you have made progress?" The white-eyed wolf's eyes lit up. "Are you done yet?" Lu Jiajin's face darkened. They hadn't seen each other for so many years. Didn't they have other topics to talk about? I think you can't even compare to little Qinzi in terms of feelings. The white-eyed wolf looked at him with disdain. Fine, fine, fine. Whatever you say is right. Lu Jiajin surrendered. He really couldn't win against the white-eyed wolf. This bastard must have been a woman in his previous life to be so talkative. Then why don't we make a trip to Qingtian City first? The frenzied one's eyes flickered. Sure. The white-eyed wolf nodded and laughed. 3 months have passed. The people from the Central Dynasty should be here. They might be waiting for us in Qingtian City. Don't be rash. If they really come, if the 5 peerless geniuses come, the 2 of you might be at a disadvantage. Lu Jiajin's eyelids twitched as he hurriedly advised. Afraid of them? Let's just do it. The white-eyed wolf laughed proudly. How can it be so simple? Let's wait for little cousin and the others to come out of seclusion. Lu Jiajin raised his head and looked at the ancient castle. His eyes were filled with suspicion. What were these 2 doing? Chapter 42:20. Let's wait and see. Madman waved his hand helplessly. This big cousin of theirs was too careful in doing things. It was completely different from their style. Their style was to do it and be done with it. Another day passed outside. Black Tortoise World, 5,000 years ago. In the early morning of the Black Tortoise World, the morning mist lingered. Whether it was the medicinal herbs or the tea trees, there were crystal-clear water droplets hanging on them. Boom! But suddenly, 2 auras erupted without warning. Madman and the white-eyed wolf immediately rushed out and stared at the castle in surprise. This was the aura of Qin Feiyang and the inner demons. But there was no change. Then what were the 2 of them doing in seclusion all these years? Do you think they are having a gay relationship? The white-eyed wolf rolled his eyes and gritted his teeth. It's possible. Madman nodded. However, the next moment, the aura of Qin Feiyang and the inner demons changed. The 2 auras seemed to be fusing. What is going on? Madman and the white-eyed wolf became more and more puzzled. Boom! Gradually, the 2 auras dissipated and were replaced by an indescribable aura. It was like a god and a demon. It was like the combination of a god and a demon. What is this aura? Not only Madman and the white-eyed wolf, but Lu Jiajin, Long Chun, Dong Jingyang, and the others were also alarmed. They all came to look at the castle in surprise. However, Qin Feiyang and the inner demons did not appear for a long time. The aura of the combination of a god and a demon had not changed. However, at a certain moment, an astonishing aura emerged, like the blooming of a night-blooming cactus. But at this moment, everyone present felt the aura of death descend. They could not help but break out in cold sweat. What just appeared? Why do I feel like I saw a demon standing at the entrance of the castle, opening its bloody mouth at me? Wang Xiaojie came back to his senses and muttered, Did you see a demon? Why do I feel like I saw a god? Qin Shin frowned. The others also had a different feeling. But whether it was a god or a demon, without exception, they all felt a fatal sense of crisis. Dada. A short while later, with the sound of footsteps, Qin Feiyang and the inner demons walked out of the castle side by side. They all had bright smiles on their faces. I knew it. As long as we work together, we can definitely achieve twice the result with half the effort. The inner demons bared their teeth. Haha. Qin Feiyang laughed heartily. The inner demons said, The Chaos Origin Divine Art is no longer the same as before. From now on, it will be renamed the Chaos Origin Heart Sutra. Primordial Heart Sutra. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment, then nodded and said with a smile, Sure. The inner demons looked at Lu Jiajin and the others who were flying towards them and secretly laughed. We'll keep this a secret for now. We'll give them a surprise later. Qin Feiyang couldn't help laughing. What are you doing? Everyone gathered around him, their faces full of suspicion. Nothing. The inner demons waved their hands. If there was nothing else, would you have been in seclusion for so many years? If there's nothing else, would you be able to cause such a huge commotion? Who are you trying to fool? The madman rolled his eyes. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other and couldn't help but laugh. Qin Feiyang turned to look at Long Chun and asked with a smile, "How many ultimate mysteries have we obtained? Go and ask Xiao Shui yourself." After Long Chun finished speaking, he looked at the inner demons. The inner demons raised his eyebrows. Was this a provocation? Thus, he stared at Long Chun without avoiding it. "Don't misunderstand. I'm just trying to see if there's any difference between you and Qin Feiyang." Long Chun smiled slightly. The inner demons was taken aback and said playfully, "Then tell me, is there a difference between us?" "No. Even his personality isn't what the inner demons should have. I really envy you guys." Long Chun smiled, then turned around and left alone. His back seemed a little lonely. "What's going on?" The inner demons looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. "Maybe when he saw you, he thought of the ice dragon's soul." Qin Feiyang sighed. "Ice dragon's soul?" The inner demons was stunned. "And once, he had two souls, an ice dragon's soul and a sky dragon's soul. In short, his situation is similar to ours," Qin Feiyang said. "So that's the case." The inner demons nodded in realization. Looking at Long Chin's back again, they couldn't help but sympathize with him. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath, looked at the crowd around, and said with a smile, "Xiao Shui stays, the rest of you can leave." "Okay." Everyone nodded. Tea garden. Qin Feiyang, the inner demons, Lu Jiajin, the madman, the white-eyed wolf, and Xiao Shui sat around the table. "Speak," Qin Feiyang said with a smile while making tea. Xiao Shui took out an account book, looked at it carefully, and said, "The ultimate profundities obtained this time are more than the previous time. There are over 61,000 ultimate profundities of supreme laws and 420,000 ultimate profundities of ordinary laws." "So much?" Not to mention the inner demons and Lu Jiajin. Even Qin Feiyang couldn't help but be dumbfounded. Last time, he had gained 53,211 ultimate laws and ultimate profundities. There were more than 300,000 ordinary profound of the ultimate law. This time, there were 61,000 ultimate profound of the ultimate law. There were more than 400,000 ordinary profound of the ultimate law. In total, he had obtained more than 114,000 ultimate profundities of supreme laws in 2 tries. There were more than 700,000 ordinary profound of the ultimate law. How big of a fortune was this? Just the ultimate profound of the ultimate law. With more than 114,000 profound of the ultimate law, it was enough to cultivate more than 19,000 experts with heaven's will. Just thinking about it made one excited. The law of light and darkness this time also exceeded my expectations. I thought that only Yulao had a law of light and darkness, but in the end, 2 beast sovereigns also had a law of light and darkness. Xiao Shui smiled slightly. 3? Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback, turned his head to look at the inner demons and Lu Jiajin, and said with a smile, "Give one to Long Qin, and the remaining 2 are enough to fulfill your wishes. If you can't bear to, you can also ignore us." The inner demons bared their teeth. Qin Feiyang was speechless. How could the inner demons not know what kind of person he was? Xiao Shui smiled and asked, "These ultimate profound are now in the hands of Sister Fire Lotus. Do you want me to go get them for you?" "In the hands of Fire Lotus?" Madman was taken aback. His eyes turned slightly, and he waved his hand and said, "No need, no need. Go into seclusion." "Okay." Xiao Shui looked at Madman suspiciously, then nodded, got up, put away the account book, and left. "What are you planning now?" Lu Jiajin looked at Madman warily. "Nothing. I'm such a simple person. What can I do?" Madman looked innocent. Lu Jiajin's mouth twitched. "You're simple? Don't joke around. Okay? Birds of a feather flock together." This sentence was indeed true. They were all shameless people. Madman suddenly grinned and said, "You heard it, right? The ultimate profound is in the hands of Fire Lotus. If you want, go find Fire Lotus yourself." As expected, Lu Jiajin sighed helplessly. The inner demons looked at Madman and Lu Jiajin and gradually understood. He smiled and said, "Take my share back too? Don't you have hands?" Lu Jiajin stared fiercely. "Isn't this something I can do on the way? Go." The inner demons got up, grabbed Lu Jiajin, and pushed him towards Fire Lotus's courtyard. Lu Jiajin's face was full of helplessness. Madman looked at Lu Jiajin's back and smiled. Love grows with time. Sooner or later, they will like each other. I feel the same way. The inner demons nodded with a sneaky look. Qin Feiyong couldn't help but laugh. After all these years, the inner demons had changed a lot. They were like two different people compared to before. As Long Qian said before, the inner demons now were completely different from the inner demons. Let's get down to business. The white-eyed wolf looked at Qin Feiyong and asked, when are we going to Qingtian City? Is it the agreed time? Qin Feiyong asked. We should have gone to Qingtian City yesterday. But you guys haven't come out, so it's not good to disturb you. The white-eyed wolf pursed his lips. Looks like you can't wait. But let me give you a word of advice. Be careful. The inner demons advised earnestly. Don't worry. No matter how weak the opponent is, I will go all out. The white-eyed wolf grinned. Not long after, Lu Jiajin returned. How is it? Madman looked at him expectantly. Lu Jiajin ignored him and looked at Qin Feiyong. The Fire Lotus asked me to tell you that there are more than 280 million spirit veins and crystal veins snatched from the beast race and the sea race. They have all been settled. When Qin Feiyong heard this number, his eyes couldn't help but tremble. This was simply beyond imagination. He immediately closed his eyes and observed the Black Tortoise world. He found that after more than 400,000 years, the Black Tortoise world had grown a lot. It was basically comparable to two eastern continents. Last time, but it was only close. It was too fast. If this continued, they would soon catch up with the Sky Cloud world. As long as they caught up with the Sky Cloud world, they would only be one step away from the Divine Kingdom. Lu Jiajin looked at the inner demons and smiled. It's about time. We should go. And the inner demons nodded, got up, and looked at Qin Feiyong. He smiled and said, Protect yourself well. Don't let me collect your corpse when the time comes. You too. Qin Feiyong smiled slightly. Don't worry. You will definitely die in front of me. The inner demons laughed. Get lost. Qin Feiyong glared at him angrily. He didn't say anything good. Haha. The inner demons laughed and glanced at the Black Tortoise world. There was a trace of reluctance in his eyes. He said, Send us out. We will contact you if there is anything. Don't take the initiative to send us a message. Lu Jiajin spoke again. Understood. Qin Feiyong nodded. After taking out 2 new transmission godstones and establishing a contract bridge with the inner demons and Lu Jiajin, Qin Feiyong resolutely sent the 2 of them out. There was no banquet in the world that didn't end. Parting was also for a better reunion next time. Chapter 42-21. Qingtian City. The monarch, the divine king, the human race's supreme being, and Heaven Lord Ji were all standing in the sky. They had already arrived at Qingtian City yesterday, and 3 months had passed, and they had already rebuilt their physical bodies. After all, with the foundation of the 3 sacred lands, they naturally didn't lack time arrays. However, they didn't notice the 4 people in the tavern. The 4 of them were like ghosts, quietly watching the sky above the city. The people who had fled Qingtian City had also gathered outside the city, with a puzzled look on their faces. Didn't they say that they would make a final judgment after 3 months? But now, it had already been a day. Why hadn't Qin Feiyong and the others appeared? Could it be to scare them? As soon as this thought came out, it was immediately denied. With the strength of Qin Feiyong and the others, was there a need to scare them? Father, what's going on? Heaven Lord Ji looked at the rising sun in the sky and finally couldn't hold back the doubts in his heart and asked, Don't be impatient. The monarch secretly said. These few brats didn't come to the appointment. They must have been delayed by something. Moreover, this was just a show. Don't take it too seriously. In the tavern, the young man with a murderous aura frowned and said, Are we going to continue waiting like this? Be patient. The other young man smiled faintly. That's right. Patience is a necessary quality for a hunter. The 2 women also appeared very indifferent. The young man with a murderous aura frowned. Swoosh. Suddenly, The four of them seemed to have discovered something, and their gazes suddenly fell on the void opposite the monarch and the others. At the same time, the monarch, the divine king, supreme being, and heaven Lord G also looked up. The void distorted. A space-time passage appeared. With the appearance of this space-time passage, the people outside the city couldn't help but hold their breaths and stare at the passage. Is it them? They all murmured in their hearts. They really know how to create an atmosphere. On the other side, a young man with a mask stood on the mountain peak, his eyes full of disdain. This person was the inner demons. Although he had been in the castle for the past 3 months, studying the mixed Yuan Heart Sutra with Qin Feiyang, at the same time, he was also rebuilding his physical body. So now, his strength had recovered to its peak state. Next to them, Lu Jiajin had a faint smile on his face. After leaving the Black Tortoise world, they headed straight for this place. Because they knew that after sending them off, Qin Feiyang and the other two would definitely come to keep the appointment. They were also curious about the people sent by the Central Dynasty. Was he an expert from the Death God army? Or were they those 5 peerless geniuses? Under the watchful eyes of everyone. Finally, a white figure appeared in the space-time tunnel. Following closely, a golden figure and a black figure also appeared. His appearance was extraordinary. His temperament was outstanding. They were as dazzling as the stars in the sky. That was right. It was Qin Feiyang, the madman, the white-eyed wolf. The 3 of them stepped out of the space-time tunnel. He's here. The people outside the city immediately became nervous. What would happen next? You said that you would come to Qingtian City yesterday. Why are you only here today? Are you messing with us? The monarch and the other 3 looked very angry. One is the monarch, one is the divine king, one is the human race's supreme, and one is a member of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan. They are all people of high status. How would this junior dare to mess with you? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, following closely. He then transmitted his voice to the 4 of them and explained, "Sorry, I was delayed by something and made you wait for so long. You know that we are waiting for you, but it seems that you are in a good mood." The monarch secretly glared at the 3 of them, but on the surface, he looked at them coldly and snorted, "Stop being so sarcastic. There is no need to make the atmosphere so tense the moment we meet." Qin Feiyang smiled and transmitted his voice again. "Of course we are in a good mood, because this time, we have obtained many ultimate mysteries. Do you think that we will be happy when facing you?" The divine king glared at him and then secretly asked curiously, "How many ultimate mysteries are there?" "Take a guess." Qin Feiyang secretly laughed. The divine king's mouth twitched slightly. How could he guess? He transmitted his voice and scolded, "Don't keep us in suspense. I want to tell you guys, don't take advantage of the situation." Qin Feiyang secretly said, "You brat, do you think we are people like that?" The divine king was quite angry in his heart. Let's deal with the matter at hand first." Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice and then looked at the monarch and heavenly Lord Ji, sighing, "We are connected by blood. You don't have to be nice to me, but at least you don't have to look at me as if you were looking at a mortal enemy. You are from the Sky Cloud realm, and I am from the divine kingdom of the divine kingdom. We are enemies to begin with." The monarch snorted coldly. "Fine." Qin Feiyang sighed sadly and said, "Then tell me your answer. You want us to betray the Lord Ruler and join you in your evil deeds?" "Never." The monarch shouted in a sonorous voice. "That's right. In this life, we are from the divine kingdom, and in death, we are the souls of the divine kingdom. If you want to make a move on our 3 races, then you have to step over our dead bodies first." The divine king also shouted righteously. Clang! The human race's supreme being waved his hand, and the sword of faith appeared with an overwhelming sharpness. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "This is my position. Not bad, not bad." They didn't let us down. In the tavern, looking at the firm attitude of the monarch and the other 2, the 2 men and 2 women couldn't help but nod in satisfaction. High up in the sky, Qin Feiyang glanced at the monarch and the other 2 and sighed. "Why do you have to do this? With our current strength, you have no way to survive. What is there to fear about death?" Heavenly Lord Ji shouted. 3,000 incarnations were activated, and a terrifying murderous aura suddenly roared in all directions. I admire you, but at the same time, I can't see you, because your so-called loyalty is nothing but blind loyalty. Boom. As his voice fell, Qin Feiyang's 3,000 incarnations also appeared, and a shocking aura constantly collided with the aura of Heavenly Lord Ji's 3,000 incarnations. All of you, go as far as possible. It's best if you leave the West Continent. The human race's supreme being looked at the people outside the city and shouted. Hearing this, everyone turned around and ran. Some of them really opened space-time passages and teleported to the North and South continents. Qin Feiyang's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He looked at the mad scientist and the white-eyed wolf and said, "Don't let a single one of them go. Kill." Boom. The two of them laughed. Ultimate intent, will of the heavenly Tao, and mark of all evil were activated at the same time and attacked the people outside the city. Stop them. The monarch's expression changed. The divine king took a step forward, and the mark of the god race erupted. Ultimate intent appeared and attacked the mad scientist. The human race's supreme being grabbed the sword of faith and also attacked the white-eyed wolf. The people outside the city panicked. However, Qin Feiyang's group of 3 and the monarch's group of 4 were filled with doubts. They had already acted to this extent. Why hadn't the people of the Central Dynasty shown up yet? If they still didn't show up, they would really have to fight. Could it be the people of the Central Dynasty hadn't arrived yet? No, there's a murderous aura. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang's eyes narrowed as he glanced at the city below. That's right. Just a moment ago, he had sensed a murderous aura somewhere in the city. They're hiding in the city? Boom. He waved his hand, and the ultimate intent of the law of life and death appeared in the sky. On the surface, it was to deal with the Lord and Heavenly Lord Ji, but in fact, it was to force the 4 people hiding in the city to show up. Terrifying divine might covered the sky and earth. The city below, including the surrounding mountains, was collapsing crazily. Dust and smoke were billowing. The power of the ultimate intent of the law of life and death is too strong. Looks like we can't hide it anymore. Then let's go out and kill them. Looking at the collapsed tavern, the 4 young men and women looked at each other. They no longer hid their aura and surged out like a volcanic eruption. They're really hiding down there. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. At the same time, the white-eyed wolf, the mad scientist, and the Lord also stopped and looked down. Qin Feiyang, mad scientist, golden-winged wolf king. Who gave you the guts to be so arrogant in the divine kingdom? A sinister laugh full of murderous intent sounded. Then, 2 men and 2 women walked out of the dust step by step. With every step they took, the aura they exuded would become stronger. When they completely walked out of the dust and entered the sight of Qin Feiyang and the others, their aura had completely erupted. The world couldn't help but tremble. You are? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. The Lord and the other 3 also looked at the 4 with vigilance. Don't be nervous. We're not enemies. We were sent by the Emperor to help you deal with Qin Feiyang's group of intruders. A woman looked at the Lord and the others and said, The Emperor sent you? Then you're all from the Central Dynasty? The Divine King had a shocked expression on his face. Yes. The woman nodded proudly. We've been waiting for the Central Dynasty's reinforcements. Qin Feiyang, your time of death has come. Heaven Lord Ji roared with tears of joy. His acting skills were simply superb. If they didn't know in advance, Qin Feiyang and the others would have believed Heaven Lord Ji's words. The woman waved her hand and said, You don't need to do anything. It's just a few pieces of trash. We're enough. Damn you. You actually called us trash? This is a bit too arrogant. The white-eyed wolf cursed. In front of this woman, even he, who had always been arrogant, felt inferior. Chapter 42:22. Are you sure? They're all very powerful. The monarch put on a caring expression, but in his heart, he was also sneering. This little girl was indeed too arrogant. Qin Feiyang, the madman, and the white-eyed wolf, which one of them wasn't in existence that dominated a region. How dare she call them trash? If she really had the strength, that would be fine. But if she didn't, then the one who would be embarrassed in the end would only be himself. Are you doubting my ability? The woman raised her eyebrows and looked at the king unkindly. No, no. The king hurriedly waved his hand and looked at the divine king, the sovereign of the human race, heavenly Lord G, and shouted, "Let's retreat." Whoosh! Immediately, the three of them turned around and left without looking back. Forget it if he didn't appreciate it. Anyway, he had already persuaded them. Even if they died in the hands of Qin Feiyong and the others, the emperor of the central dynasty wouldn't blame them. The woman looked at the four of them with contempt, then looked at Qin Feiyong and the others and said indifferently, "Who wants to die first? Fuck you. If I don't go crazy, do you think I'm a sick cat?" The madman was furious. Shouldn't there be a limit to being arrogant? Shouldn't you see who your opponent is now? Don't you know? I'm the representative of arrogance. Boom. He took a step forward and charged towards the woman. The woman looked at the madman mockingly. But suddenly, a hand reached out from behind and pulled the madman back. The madman was slightly taken aback. He turned his head and saw a golden figure flashing past, charging towards the woman like lightning. His eyes were also filled with anger. That's right. It was the white-eyed wolf. "What are you doing?" The madman came back to his senses and hurriedly chased, grabbing the white-eyed wolf and said angrily, "She is my opponent. Go away." The white-eyed wolf shook the madman off. "You're the one who should go to the side." The madman was furious. He was the one who attacked first. "Aren't you annoying? Aren't you happy watching from the side? Let's talk about it later. You're a man and she's a woman. If you fight with her, you will be laughed at. People will say that you bully women and children. So, I'm doing this for your own good. Why can't you understand?" White-eyed wolf sighed. "Aren't you also a man?" Madman rolled his eyes. "I'm different. In any case, the first battle must be me. There's no room for discussion." The white-eyed wolf snorted. "Do you have the final say?" Madman's face darkened. "Shouldn't everything be based on first come, first served?" Looking at the two of them arguing, the woman's mocking expression became even more intense. She said, "It's fine. You two are about to die anyway. You can come at me together." When the two of them heard this, they immediately stared at the woman with cold eyes. After so many years, no one had ever dared to look down on them. As usual, the madman looked at Qin Feiyong and said in a deep voice, "All right." The white-eyed wolf nodded. Qin Feiyong rubbed his forehead, speechless. As usual? The four of them were stunned and looked at the madman suspiciously. The king and the other three standing in the distance also had a puzzled look. They were strong enough, so they didn't need to evacuate like the others. The madman and the white-eyed wolf sat opposite each other with one hand behind their back and a serious look on their faces. 3, 2, 1. Suddenly, the two of them shouted in unison, "Rock, scissors, paper." The hand behind their back stretched out at the same time. Both of them were scissors. What the hell? The king and the other three were stunned. Rock, scissors, paper? This is too childish. They are experts who have mastered the will of heaven. Can't they have the demeanor of an expert? On the other side, the inner demons and Lu Jiajin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. What two weirdos? Again, the madman roared, "Rock, scissors, paper." The two of them once again showed their fists at the same time. "Don't cheat." The madman glared at the white-eyed wolf. "It's you who shouldn't cheat." The white-eyed wolf also glared at the madman. Again, the two of them roared once again. This time, they showed their scissors at the same time. When did we become so telepathic? The madman's expression was dull. "Don't disgust me. Only a ghost would be telepathic with you." The white-eyed wolf snorted coldly. "Good, good, good." The madman nodded repeatedly and roared, "Today, we won't stop until the outcome is decided. Come on, do you think I'm afraid of you?" The white-eyed wolf was not to be outdone. For the two of them, this was a very serious matter. But in the eyes of others, it was just like playing house, a joke. The four women initially thought it was very fun and interesting. They looked like two clowns, but gradually they couldn't help but frown. Were they deliberately teasing them? Don't mind them. They are like this. Qin Feiyang looked at the four of them and smiled faintly. Then, under the astonished gaze of the four, he took out a tea table and 2 chairs and placed them in the void in front of them. He then took out a tea set and began to slowly brew tea. This scene made the 4 women's brows furrow tighter and tighter. They were even more convinced that these people were deliberately teasing them. Don't go too far. The young man with a murderous aura roared. A wave of blood roared out, drowning the sky. The madman and the white-eyed wolf were stunned. They raised their heads and looked at the young man, but it was only a glance before they continued to play rock, paper, scissors. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and looked at the 4 of them. Why don't you come over and have a taste? You're courting death. The young man took a step forward and threw a punch at Qin Feiyang. I kindly invited you to drink tea, and you have such an attitude? Qin Feiyang shook his head. An incarnation appeared. The incarnation's aura was like a rainbow. It turned into a light shadow and punched the young man. Boom! A terrifying wave of air rolled out. The surrounding void immediately began to collapse. 3,000 incarnations? The young man frowned. Not bad. The incarnation chuckled. An incarnation dares to act rashly? The young man was furious. His black hair was instantly dyed red. He was like an awakened demon king. A blood-red murderous aura shrouded the world. Qin Feiyang drank tea while looking at the young man with interest. This should be the true face of the young man. He did look a little scary, but he didn't know if he was a paper tiger. Haha, it was also at this moment. There was a loud laugh. Everyone looked at the madman and saw the white-eyed wolf looking at the madman standing opposite of him with a smug face. The madman had a look of annoyance. Who's the winner and loser? Just a rock-paper-scissors game can defeat hundreds of people. In this world, only the 2 of you can do it. Qin Feiyang looked helpless. There's no other way. We have too much tacit understanding today. Whatever I do, he will do. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth and looked at the madman. Little madman, if you agree to bet, you must accept your loss. The madman snorted from his nose and turned to walk to Qin Feiyang's side. He sat on another chair and took out a jar of divine wine. He sneered and said, Lousy wants to see how you are going to be tortured by her. After saying that, he raised his head and gulped down the wine as if he was venting his anger. Torture me? The white-eyed wolf turned to look at the woman opposite him and muttered to himself, Little madman, I'm afraid you are going to be disappointed. Don't think that I don't have any other means besides battle soul. If I go all out, even you are not my opponent. No one heard these words. Even the woman standing opposite him only knew that the white-eyed wolf was muttering. As his voice fell, the killing intent in the white-eyed wolf's eyes surged. He sneered and said, Bitch, being arrogant in front of me is the worst thing you have done in your life. Boom. Immediately, he took a step forward and unleashed all his energy as he threw a punch at the woman. I hope your strength is as powerful as your mouth. The woman snickered and didn't back down. Divine power surged out, and she threw a punch. Boom. When the fist and the palm met, a destructive energy wave immediately surged in all directions with the 2 of them as the center. The scene of the end of the world immediately appeared. The sky was collapsing, the earth was cracking, and the sky was collapsing. Before the battle, no one mentioned that they wanted to enter the galaxy. Apparently, they were all ready to fight at this moment. Heavenly Lord, hurry up and go to Mount Supreme and help the 10 overlords to move all the creatures in the West Continent to the South Continent and the North Continent. I have a feeling that this battle will affect the entire West Continent, the king said. Okay. Heavenly Lord Ji nodded and immediately opened a passage and left. Chapter 42-23. The air billowed and flooded in all directions. In the center of the battlefield, the wind howled. The white-eyed wolf and the woman were on par in terms of strength and physical strength. Every time they collided, an unparalleled wave would erupt. Boom. After a few hundred rounds, the woman's gaze turned cold. The power of laws surged out, and turned into a giant dragon that was more than 10,000 feet long. It roared in the sky and pounced toward the white-eyed wolf. The white-eyed wolf sneered and did not panic at all. Along the way, what kind of battle had he not experienced? In terms of on-the-spot reaction, he could be considered one of the best. Just as the woman's power of laws was about to kill him, he activated split time, took a step forward, and instantly appeared behind the woman like a ghost. The power of laws in his palm surged, and he mercilessly slapped the woman's back. Poof! The woman spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot, and her face turned pale. The huge force sent her flying like a meteorite. With a loud bang, she smashed into the ground below. A bottomless pit immediately appeared. Dong Exine. In the sky above, 2 men and 1 woman exclaimed. They did not expect that Dong Exine, one of the 5 unparalleled geniuses of the Central Dynasty, would suffer a great loss in the hands of the golden-winged Wolf King. "I'm fine." Accompanied by a cold voice, the woman walked out of the huge pit step by step. Her hair was disheveled and her face was dirty, and she was dripping with blood. However, that pair of dark eyes was suffused with a gloomy luster. "Not bad. You're not dead." The white-eyed wolf looked at her mockingly. "The one who's going to die is you." Dong Exine smiled coldly. Boom! Wisps of destructive auras burst out from them. In just an instant, 6 ultimate profound meanings appeared out of nowhere. All the ultimate profound meanings of the strongest laws. Following closely, the will of the heavenly Tao erupted. The void and the land here collapsed crazily. Sure enough, none of the people from the Central Dynasty are simple characters. The king whispered. Whether it was the Liu brothers or this Dong Exine, they all had 6 ultimate profound meanings of the strongest laws. Compared to these people, the geniuses of the 3 major races were no different from trash. Go to hell. Dong Exine was obviously enraged, and her murderous aura soared. With a wave of his hand, the ultimate mysteries of the 6 ultimate laws shot toward the white-eyed wolf with world-destroying power. Just this? The white-eyed wolf was disdainful. The laws of death, the laws of destruction, the laws of life, the laws of space-time. The 6 ultimate mysteries instantly appeared in the sky. The will of the heavenly Tao enveloped the entire area as it furiously attacked. Rumble. An earth-shattering explosion rang out. The 12 ultimates clashed together, causing the world to lose its color. Immediately after, a destructive wave of air surged out in all directions like a tide. Everywhere it passed, mountains and rivers shattered, the ground caved in, and the disaster spread to hundreds of millions of kilometers away. You want to kill me with just 6 ultimate mysteries? Who are you looking down on? The white-eyed wolf sneered. Strands of power of law gushed out of his body, turning into a huge tornado that swept through the world and charged toward Dong Exine. If this is all you have, do you think I would dare to be so arrogant? Dong Exine waved her hand, and the power of law rolled out like a torrent. The 2 ultimates shattered at the same time in the void. Then, she looked at the white-eyed wolf as if she was looking at a clown. Haha, then hurry up and show me. Let's see if you can surprise me. The white-eyed wolf laughed maniacally. The 6 ultimate mysteries once again appeared in the sky, drowning out the void as they blasted toward Dong Exine. Open your dog eyes wide and take a good look. Dong Exine sneered. Rumble. The next moment, the 6 ultimate mysteries appeared, but right after, along with the emergence of a terrifying power of law, another ultimate mystery of the ultimate mysteries of the ultimate laws appeared in the sky. 7 ultimate mysteries of the ultimate laws. The Divine King and the other 2 were shocked. This little girl's strength was comparable to theirs? 7 ultimate mysteries of the ultimate laws against 6 ultimate mysteries of the ultimate laws, and both had the will of the heavenly Tao. The result was obvious. Rumble. The white-eyed wolf's 6 ultimate mysteries were annihilated on the spot. His body also shook violently. A mouthful of blood spurted out. Now, tell me, do I have the right to be arrogant? Dong Exine sneered. With a wave of her arm, the ultimate mysteries blasted toward the white-eyed wolf like lightning. With a loud bang, the white-eyed wolf smashed into the ground, and blood spurted out all over his body. 7 ultimate mysteries of the ultimate laws. Is this the unparalleled genius of the Central Dynasty? He looked at the woman standing in the sky in high spirits with a trace of disdain in his eyes. Compared to the inner demons and big cousin, she was too weak. The inner demons had mastered 6 ultimate mysteries of the ultimate laws, and 1 ultimate mystery of the law of life and death, which surpassed the ultimate laws. They also had the demon king true body. Lu Jiajin also had the eye of nothingness. Although he only had 6 ultimate mysteries of the ultimate laws, the eye of nothingness alone was enough to kill this woman. With this strength, what was there to be arrogant about? An ant will always be an ant. Dong Xian looked down at the white-eyed wolf with disdain. Immediately after, the 7 ultimate mysteries moved and charged toward the white-eyed wolf aggressively. The white-eyed wolf soared into the sky with a whoosh. Instant time was used to the extreme. However, an additional ultimate profundity of an ultimate law was equivalent to an insurmountable chasm. For a moment, the white-eyed wolf was being suppressed. Golden blood floated all over his body, and he looked more and more miserable. This brother wolf, can he do it? Frenzy held the wine jar and looked at this scene. He couldn't help but frown. I don't know. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Of course, they knew the white-eyed wolf's strength. 6 ultimate mysteries of the ultimate laws, and the battle soul's 3 heaven-defying abilities. If someone helped him, no matter how strong or how many opponents there were, the white-eyed wolf would be in an undefeatable position. This was because once the white-eyed wolf succeeded, he would either deprive the opponent of their cultivation or their ultimate laws. Whether it was depriving the opponent of their cultivation or their ultimate laws, it would be fatal for an expert of this level. But now, the white-eyed wolf and Dong Xian were fighting one-on-one. Even if the white-eyed wolf activated his battle soul, Dong Xian could interrupt him in time with her powerful strength. Therefore, on the surface, the white-eyed wolf's chances of winning were very small. However, one couldn't look at the white-eyed wolf with ordinary eyes. Qin Feiyang naturally knew the white-eyed wolf's character like the back of his hand. But as for the white-eyed wolf's means and strength, to be honest, Qin Feiyang had never seen through him. He always felt that there were some secrets hidden in the white-eyed wolf that he didn't know. Bang! Once again, the white-eyed wolf was blasted into the ground. Dust and smoke billowed and covered the sky. The wounds on his body were so deep that his bones could be seen. Dong Xian sneered. Previously, she heard rumors that the 5 major clans were afraid of the golden-winged wolf king. This made her think that the white-eyed wolf had 3 heads and 6 arms. However, after fighting with him, she realized that he was just an ordinary guy. The other 2 men and 1 woman lowered their heads to look at the bloody white-eyed wolf and revealed a contemptuous look. They couldn't understand. Such a small character, how could the 5 major clans be so afraid of him? Haha, just so. I really want to know, who gave you the courage? The white-eyed wolf laughed wildly. And? Dong Xian raised her eyebrows. At this point, he still dared to be arrogant? It seemed that he really hadn't died before. Bang! The 7 ultimate laws instantly appeared in the sky and laughed coldly. I'll send you to hell now. As the voice fell, the 7 ultimate laws suddenly fell and attacked the seriously injured white-eyed wolf. Not good. Frenzy suddenly stood up. If you want to fight, I'll accompany you. The ferocious young man immediately looked at Frenzy and laughed. Frenzy looked at the young man, a cold light flashing in his eyes. Don't be impatient. Qin Feiyang reached out to stop Frenzy. His eyes were locked on the white-eyed wolf. Suddenly, his pupils shrank. Send me to hell? Haha, old woman, don't you know? Even the king of hell has to kneel and beg for mercy when he sees me. The white-eyed wolf laughed loudly. His whole body suddenly emitted a dazzling golden light, as dazzling as the scorching sun in the sky. At the same time, Frenzy and the other 2 men and 1 woman also looked at the white-eyed wolf in surprise. Ayo! The next moment, a giant golden wolf appeared in their line of sight. Its body was more than 10 meters long, and its fur seemed to be cast from gold leaf, dazzling and dazzling. On its back, there were two golden wings. As the wings kept flapping, a storm roared out. "Golden-winged Wolf King, this is his true face," the two men and one woman murmured. "It's quite handsome. Submit to me and be my mount, then I will spare your life." Dong Xian sized up the white-eyed wolf, and a smile appeared on her face. But as long as one wasn't a fool, one could see that it was a thick sneer. "Really stupid, you still don't know when death is at hand," the white-eyed wolf whispered, then turned his head to look at Qin Feiyang and Frenzy, and laughed. "I will let you see my true strength." So, as his voice fell, the golden wings behind his back suddenly erupted with a mighty aura. Following closely, he spread his wings, and combined with split time, he instantly disappeared from the spot. At this time, the 7 ultimate mysteries that were attacking the white-eyed wolf finally arrived. But as the white-eyed wolf disappeared, the 7 ultimate mysteries directly streaked across the void and blasted into the ground below. The ground within 100 million miles was instantly shattered, and cracks appeared everywhere. This scene shocked Qin Feiyang and Frenzy to the extreme. He actually disappeared from the face of the earth? When they came back to their senses, they hurriedly scanned the void, looking for traces of the white-eyed wolf. The next moment, their eyes locked onto the sky above Dong Xian's head. Unknowingly, the white-eyed wolf had already appeared in the void above Dong Xian. Impossible! When the 2 men and 1 woman saw the white-eyed wolf, they also had a look of disbelief. How could he be so fast? In the blink of an eye, he appeared above Dong Xian's head. Even a split second wouldn't be able to do that. The most important thing was, none of them were able to capture the white-eyed wolf's movements. One must know, with their strength, even if it was split time, they could clearly capture the other party's movements. But now, they didn't see how the white-eyed wolf appeared above Dong Xian. Chapter 42-24. Boom. Before Dong Xian could react, the white-eyed wolf slapped her with its claws. With a loud bang, Dong Xian was smashed into the ground below like a meteorite. On his back, there was a claw mark so deep that his bones could be seen. Blood was gushing out. "Now tell me, do you have the right to be arrogant in front of me?" This time, it was the white-eyed wolf's turn to look down at Dong Xian. From afar, it was as if a peerless wolf king was born, causing people to feel fear. "This wolf cub?" In the distance, the inner demons muttered, feeling extremely shocked. Was this the white-eyed wolf's strength? It could only be described as terrifying. But his speed is really strange. Lu Jiajin frowned. The white-eyed wolf's current speed was much faster than the moment of time. On the other side, the king and the other 2 were also stunned. After knowing each other for so long, they did not know that the white-eyed wolf had such means. In the sky, whoosh, the white-eyed wolf flapped its wings and instantly landed in front of Dong Xian, slapping her with its claws. Dong Xian's entire body was smashed into the ground with a loud bang. Her body was badly mutilated, and it was a tragic sight. So fast. This time, Qin Feiyang and Frenzy were completely dumbfounded. Because this time, they had been staring at the white-eyed wolf, but they still could not capture the white-eyed wolf's movements. What did this mean? It meant that the white-eyed wolf's current speed was beyond their comprehension. What was going on? Why did it suddenly become this fast? Wait. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang stared at the golden wings behind the white-eyed wolf, his eyes full of surprise. Could it be because of this pair of wings? At this moment, the white-eyed wolf grabbed Dong Xian with its claws again. The next moment, it spread its wings, activated the moment of time, grabbed Dong Xian, and instantly appeared in the sky. "Arrogant with me? Who do you think you are?" The white-eyed wolf sneered disdainfully, grabbing Dong Xian and throwing her down to the ground. With a loud bang, Dong Xian was smashed into the ground again. Her body cracked open and blood stained the ground red. It really is this pair of wings. Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled as he stared at the golden wings on the back of the white-eyed wolf. This pair of wings had already appeared when the white-eyed wolf became a god. However, after all these years, this pair of wings was completely like an ornament, and did not display any use at all. As such, over time, Qin Feiyang also thought that this pair of wings only looked good, so he slowly ignored it. Who would have thought that he would be able to unleash such a shocking amount of power? Judging from the current speed, the speed of this pair of wings was probably comparable to that of an instant. The speed of the wings itself was already so astonishing, and with the addition of the moment of time, this speed had already surpassed the limits of speed that they currently knew. This guy really hid himself well. The madman smiled bitterly. From the ancient world to the underworld king's hell, then from the underworld king's hell to the sky cloud realm, and now from the sky cloud realm to the divine kingdom. After knowing each other for so many years, they did not know that the white-eyed wolf had such a heaven-defying method. As everyone knew, the moment of time was the fastest method. There was nothing that could be compared to it. But now, the white-eyed wolf relied on this pair of wings, in addition to his own moment of time, to break through the limits of heaven and earth. It could be said that, in today's world, no one would be faster than the white-eyed wolf. And in a battle between experts, strength was part of it, battle awareness was another part, and speed was also another part. Relying on this extreme speed, the white-eyed wolf was enough to sweep everything away. As the white-eyed wolf's brothers, Qin Feiyang and the madman were already so shocked, not to mention the 2 men and 1 woman, as well as the monarch, they all looked like they had seen a ghost. How could the laws of heaven and earth allow this kind of extreme speed to exist? However, the scene before them was truly and vividly displayed before them. What kind of monster was this? It had completely exceeded their understanding of this world. You still don't understand? This brother is the representative of arrogance. Haha, the white-eyed wolf stared at Dong Xian, who was lying in a pool of blood, and laughed unscrupulously. Boom. At the next moment, the 6 ultimate profound meanings appeared, and the will of heaven erupted. With a wave of the white-eyed wolf's claws, the 6 ultimate meanings instantly shattered heaven and earth and charged towards Dong Xian. Dong Xian, make him shut up. Looking at the white-eyed wolf's arrogant and domineering attitude, the other woman's eyes surged with killing intent as she shouted at Dong Xian. And Qin Feiyang and the madman looked at the woman. What did she mean? Could it be that Dong Xian still had other methods? One must know. With the white-eyed wolf's current speed, even if Dong Xian had mastered the 8 ultimate meanings, or even the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death, it was impossible to defeat the white-eyed wolf. Because with the white-eyed wolf's current speed, it could easily avoid the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death, unless it was ganged up on. For example, Qin Feiyang's 3,000 incarnations and the Demon King real body of the inner demons. There was no way for the white-eyed wolf to avoid it. However, not everyone could master the 3,000 incarnations and the Demon King real body. That's right. Let him have a taste of your true means. The 2 young men by the side also spoke one after another, staring at the white-eyed wolf with extremely gloomy eyes. She really has other means? Qin Feiyang and the madman looked at each other, their hearts trembling. Facing the white-eyed wolf, Dong Xian was still so confident. Her hidden strength was definitely not simple. Hence, the 2 of them immediately paid attention to Dong Xian. They looked at Dong Xian again. She slowly got up. A surge of majestic life laws emerged. The injuries on her body instantly healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Boom. At the next moment, she activated the 7 ultimate meanings and charged into the sky, crushing the white-eyed wolf's 6 ultimate meanings effortlessly. She then continued to charge towards the white-eyed wolf. Why don't you understand? In the face of speed that surpasses the limit, all attacks are futile. The white-eyed wolf laughed loudly. The golden wings spread out, and with the moment of time, it directly disappeared into the sky. The next moment, it appeared behind Dong Xian. The power of laws surged out like a tide, and a claw slammed towards Dong Xian's head. If this claw hit, Dong Xian's head would probably explode on the spot. However, even so, Dong Xian was not nervous at all at this moment. After being arrogant for so long, it's indeed time to shut you up, she murmured without turning her head back. Before her voice faded, Rays of white divine light roared out from her body. In just an instant, a white barrier appeared, exuding a sacred aura. What the hell is this? The white-eyed wolf was shocked. Out of instinct, it immediately retracted its hand and retreated from the barrier like lightning. But for this, Dong Exine didn't care. She slowly turned around and looked at the white-eyed wolf. Her body was surrounded by divine light, like a fairy descending from the heavens. The barrier around her was only 5 feet wide, but it was this 5 feet wide barrier that exuded a vast aura, and inside the barrier, one could clearly see mysterious runes floating. The white-eyed wolf, including Qin Feiyong and the madman in the sky, the lord and the other two in the distance, and Lu Jiajin and the other two, all looked at this barrier suspiciously. It looked quite scary. If you have any last words, quickly say it now, otherwise you won't have the chance to say it later. High in the sky, 2 men and 1 woman sneered. So confident? Qin Feiyong and the madman raised their eyebrows. What was so powerful about this barrier? Deliberately mystifying? The white-eyed wolf was also pondering in his heart. Even the strongest law and ultimate esoteric couldn't do anything to him now. So what was a mere barrier? You're not unfamiliar with the 10 strongest battle souls, right? Dong Exine suddenly said. Nonsense. The white-eyed wolf's face darkened. The owners of the 10 strongest battle souls were all around him, so of course, he wasn't unfamiliar with them. But you only know about the 10 strongest battle souls, but you don't know that in this world, there are existences that can be on par with the 10 strongest battle souls. Dong Exine sneered. Huh. The white-eyed wolf was puzzled. Those that can be on par with the 10 strongest battle souls are the 5 heaven-defying domains. And the heaven-defying domain that I control is one of them, the sealed god domain. Dong Exine smiled coldly. 5 heaven-defying domains? Sealed god domain? What is this? Qin Feiyong and the others looked at each other. They had never heard of this before. Don't worry, because soon, you will see how terrifying the sealed god domain is. Especially you. Dong Exine raised her head and looked at Qin Feiyong with provocation in her eyes. Defeat the white-eyed wolf first. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. You can still laugh now? It seems that you don't realize the seriousness of the problem at all. I advise you to be careful, otherwise, it will be too late to regret it later. The other 2 men and 1 woman mocked. Let me give you a piece of advice. Don't be so noisy. The madman raised his head and looked at the 3 of them. His eyes were filled with bloody light, and the evil aura in his body was gradually awakening. However, in this regard, the 2 men and 1 woman still had a disdainful attitude. The madman couldn't help but be annoyed. He lowered his head and looked at the white-eyed wolf, shouting, Brother Wolf, if you lose to her today, don't say that you are our brother in the future. We can't afford to lose this face. Are you kidding? Brother will lose to her? The white-eyed wolf snorted coldly. Then quickly get rid of her and let these self-righteous guys shut their stinky mouths for me. The madman laughed. As brothers who had gone through life and death together, of course, he was full of confidence in the white-eyed wolf. The white-eyed wolf raised his head and looked at the 2 men and 1 woman. His eyes were full of arrogance, and then he looked at Dong Exine and said domineeringly, What means do you have? Bring it on. I gave you a chance to say your last words, but you don't know how to cherish it. Then don't blame me for being ruthless. Dong Exine smiled coldly, raised her arm, and pointed her slender index finger at the white-eyed wolf, shouting, In my name, seal. Words were law. Between heaven and earth, a vast force suddenly emerged, covering the sky and the earth as it rushed towards the white-eyed wolf. This mysterious force filled the air in all directions. The white-eyed wolf was like a bird in a cage, unable to escape even if it had wings. Boom! In just a moment, the white-eyed wolf was drowned by this force. At this moment, an astonishing scene appeared. The power of the law in the white-eyed wolf's body instantly dissipated. Even his powerful aura had completely disappeared. What's going on? The madman and Qin Feiyong suddenly stood up. The monarch and the other 2, as well as Lu Jiajin and the other 2, were also full of surprise. Immortal God of War chapters will continue to be updated in the hand-fighting bar. There are no advertisements in the website. Please bookmark and recommend the hand-fighting bar. Chapter 42-25. During the battle, it was impossible for the white-eyed wolf to retract his aura and power of laws. This must be related to the sealed god domain. Seal? Could this be a method to seal the power of laws? And the white-eyed wolf was also a little flustered at this moment. As the person involved, his feelings were of course the most obvious. When this power surged over, not only was his power of laws instantly sealed, but even the power of his physical body was instantly sealed. One must know, this was a battle, and it was a battle of life and death. The power of laws and physical strength were sealed by the other party. What did this mean? It meant that he would become an ordinary person. How could an ordinary person fight against an existence that grasped the ultimate meaning of the 7 strongest laws and the will of the heavenly Tao? This was simply the difference between a mortal and a god. A dead end. Surprised? Surprised? Desperate? Dong Xian stared at the white-eyed wolf, her face full of smiles. Madman roared, "Brother Wolf, quickly use your physical strength to get out of this predicament. My physical strength has also been sealed." The white-eyed wolf opened his mouth. His tone became extremely heavy. Even his divine power had been sealed. It seemed that he had really underestimated this woman. What? Madman was dumbfounded. Even his physical strength had been sealed? Then what was the difference between the white-eyed wolf and an ordinary person? Sealing the power of laws, divine power, and strength. This is the power of the sealed god domain. Dong Xian laughed proudly. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang and Madman couldn't help but tremble. There was actually such a terrifying method in this world? With the power of laws, divine power, and strength sealed, it was equivalent to a powerless mortal. The white-eyed wolf was in danger. Swish! Dong Xian moved. She took a step forward and flew towards the white-eyed wolf. The white-eyed wolf's eyes darkened as he turned around and ran. However, his current speed couldn't compare to Dong Xian at all. In just an instant, Dong Xian caught up to him and slapped him on the back. He spat out a mouthful of blood and flew out on the spot, smashing into a deep ditch, his body covered in blood. "Aren't you good at running?" Dong Xian sneered. He landed in front of the white-eyed wolf and grabbed the golden wings on the back of the white-eyed wolf. Could it be that even the golden wings can't be used? Madman was extremely anxious. Indeed, it couldn't be used. This was because the golden wings were actually powered by divine power. Now that the divine power had been sealed, the golden wings were naturally unable to unleash their previous might. "Let's see how you're going to run without these wings." Dong Xian smiled cruelly. She exerted force in her arm and tore off one of the white-eyed wolf's wings on the spot. Golden blood immediately gushed out from the wound. The intense pain caused even the white-eyed wolf to howl in pain. "Now, even if you want to die, I won't let you do as you wish. I'm going to make you suffer so much that you'll wish you were dead." Dong Xian grabbed the other wing and tore it off with a squelch. "Bastard!" Madman roared. His aura surged out. "What are you trying to do?" The young man with a murderous aura took a step forward. Killing intent flickered in Madman's eyes. Qin Feiyang also slowly put down his teacup. Strands of astonishing life and death energy rose from his body. Of course, they couldn't leave him in the lurch. In the distance. "What should we do? Should we make a move?" The Divine King transmitted his voice. The king and the human race supreme stared at the white-eyed wolf in silence. At the same time, on the other side, the inner demons also had a trace of killing intent in their eyes. "Don't be impatient." Lu Jijin stopped him. His face also seemed somewhat gloomy. "Stop." But at this moment, the white-eyed wolf's low and hoarse voice sounded. Qin Feiyang and Madman quickly lowered their heads and looked at the white-eyed wolf. At this moment, the white-eyed wolf was already under Dong Xian's foot. She humiliated and trampled him to her heart's content. The wound on his back was constantly bleeding. It was a shocking sight. "None of you are allowed to interfere." This woman must be ended by me personally. The white-eyed wolf laughed sinisterly. That's right. He was laughing. There was an unprecedented madness in his words. The two looked at each other and temporarily restrained themselves. You want to end me personally? Don't you understand the current situation? Trash like you. If one comes, I will kill one. If a pair comes, I will kill a pair. Because no one can pass the seal of the sealed God domain. Dong Xian laughed contemptuously. Sealed God domain. It is indeed out of my expectations. But it can only seal divine power, the power of law, and the strength of the physical body. It can't seal the battle soul. The white-eyed wolf laughed sinisterly. This was a great humiliation. Other than facing the ice dragon and the small beast, he had never been trampled under someone's foot like this. How embarrassing. Dong Xian exerted force on her foot, and the white-eyed wolf's body sank into the ground. She sneered. The sealed God domain can't seal your battle soul. But so what? I know the ability of your battle soul. I can completely interrupt it before it is taken away. Don't waste your time. Today is the day you die. Ha ha, ha ha. The white-eyed wolf's sinister laughter came from the ground. Because his entire head had sunk into the ground, his voice was a little muffled. Dong Xian raised her eyebrows. The laughter made her feel uneasy. Even little Qin Zi and little Crazy don't dare to say that they understand my battle soul, let alone you. Come out. Fourth innate superpower. Roar. However, they never expected that the battle soul that clearly appeared at this moment was their mortal enemy, the sky-swallowing beast. What is his relationship with the sky-swallowing beast? The monarch, the divine king, the human race's sovereign, Lu Jiajin, and the inner demons were all stunned by this sudden scene. Needless to say, the inner demons and Lu Jiajin had already seen the golden small beast when they were on the second level of the miracle. And the monarch, the divine king, the human race's sovereign, had also witnessed the ice dragon and the small beast when they came to the divine kingdom to rescue Qin Feiyang and the others. At that time, the strength that the small beast displayed was simply despairing. Even all these years, whenever they recalled that scene, they couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat, because that was an existence that even their divine kingdom's sovereign was afraid of. But now, the white-eyed wolf's battle soul was actually the sky-swallowing beast. This made them begin to suspect the relationship between the white-eyed wolf and the sky-swallowing beast. At the same time, Dong Xian, the two men, and one woman looked at the sky-swallowing beast that had revealed its true appearance, and their faces were full of shock. Although the fourth innate superpower had not appeared yet, an ominous premonition had already risen in their hearts. In the blink of an eye, Dong Xian's 7 ultimate mysteries had already arrived in front of the white-eyed wolf and the golden beast. Her life was at stake. However, the white-eyed wolf was not afraid in the face of danger, and he laughed sinisterly. Open your eyes wide and see what a truly heaven-defying technique is. Fourth innate superpower, swallow. The sky-swallowing beast battle soul opened its bloody mouth. Suddenly, a violent wind blew in this world. Immediately, the 7 ultimate mysteries flew uncontrollably toward the bloody mouth. How is this possible? Dong Xian was dumbfounded. This was her ultimate mysteries. But at this moment, she was unable to control these 7 ultimate mysteries, and could only watch as the 7 ultimate mysteries flew into the bloody mouth. At the instant when the 7 ultimate mysteries flew into that enormous mouth, the crowd present were all stunned. 7 ultimate mysteries that contain the will of the heavenly way, but after entering the bloody mouth, they didn't even cause the slightest disturbance and were directly swallowed by the sky-swallowing beast battle soul. The 7 ultimate mysteries disappeared just like that, as if they had never existed from the beginning to the end. Chapter 42-26. Everyone's hearts were in turmoil. In an instant, he had devoured 7 ultimate profundities of supreme laws, and they were even ultimate profundities that contained the will of the heavenly Tao. Wasn't this like cheating? It's too similar, Lunatic murmured. And Qin Feiyang nodded. Back then, when he comprehended the ultimate law of life and death, the golden small beast appeared and swallowed the heavenly tribulation in one gulp. It could only be described as shocking. Despair and tremble. The white-eyed wolf laughed and roared. Continue to swallow. The battle soul opened its mouth wide. The force that enveloped the white-eyed wolf and sealed him also flew toward the mouth. It can even swallow this? Dong Xian's eyes widened in anger. My battle soul is omnipotent. The white-eyed wolf was domineering. With the disappearance of this power, the sealed power, divine power, and law energy erupted like a volcano. This is impossible. I must be dreaming. Dong Xian shook her head. Her face was filled with disbelief. Go to hell. The white-eyed wolf smiled and 6 ultimate laws appeared, shattering the void and the earth as he charged toward Dong Xian. You want to kill me? You don't have the ability. Dong Xian also became ferocious. She activated the 7 ultimate laws again and charged forward aggressively. Don't you understand? As long as the 4th special ability is activated, all your methods will be meaningless. Swallow. The white-eyed wolf roared, and the 7 ultimate mysteries flew uncontrollably toward the bloody maw. However, they disappeared into the bloody maw in an instant, not causing any waves at all. But the white-eyed wolf's 6 ultimate laws were still there. Dong Xian was at a loss of what to do when she saw the 6 profound meanings rushing toward her. Her biggest trump card was the sealed god domain. But now, the sealed god domain could not seal the white-eyed wolf's divine force, power, and law force. In other words, she could only take a beating now. Golden-winged Wolf King, if you have the ability, let's not activate our domains or fighting souls. Let's fight fair and square. She let out a hysterical roar. Are you stupid? Aren't we fighting openly now? The white-eyed wolf laughed contemptuously. Dong Xian was stunned as an indescribable sense of shame rose in her heart. That's right. This was an open and honorable battle. If she still said that, didn't it mean that she was now desperate? What a disgrace. But now, she truly had no other choice. She could only watch as the 6 ultimates came at her. Don't give up. But suddenly, a shout was heard. The next moment, along with the terrifying aura, several ultimates appeared and attacked the white-eyed wolf's fighting soul at lightning speed. Too fast. It was too sudden. No one could react in time, including the white-eyed wolf. Along with a loud explosion, several ultimates shot out, shattering the white-eyed wolf's fighting soul. The person who made the move was none other than the young man who was brimming with killing intent. Bastard, you're courting death. Frenzy was stunned as he stared at the young man. Afraid of you? The young man was not afraid at all as he looked at Frenzy provocatively. Below, looking at the white-eyed wolf's fighting soul being shattered, Dong Xian's eyes were filled with killing intent. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Go to hell. With a loud roar, the 7 ultimates appeared once again, bringing with them the power to destroy the world. Without the fighting soul, the white-eyed wolf would not be able to devour her 7 ultimates. 7 ultimates against 6 ultimates. Wasn't this a one-sided battle? Boom. The white-eyed wolf's 6 ultimates were destroyed on the spot. Following that, he suffered a fatal blow as his huge body fell to the ground, covered in blood and flesh. The final winner is me. Dong Xian laughed. It's you. Don't joke around. If I want to kill someone, even a heaven god can't stop me. The white-eyed wolf laughed sinisterly as his injured body leaped up and pounced on Dong Xian. He opened his mouth wide, revealing his dense fangs as he tore Dong Xian's body apart. Ah! With a shrill scream, Dong Xian's divine soul escaped and flew toward the 2 men and the woman without looking back. Her expression was filled with fear. This was simply a lunatic. Hee. The white-eyed wolf stood proudly on the broken ground as he stared at the fleeing Dong Xian. There was blood at the corner of his mouth, and there were pieces of flesh hanging from his fangs. He looked extremely terrifying. He really looked like a hungry wolf that wanted to devour people. Terrifying. Truly terrifying. Even if I'm seriously injured, I can't be careless. The two men and the woman were also greatly shocked. This was the first time they had seen such a crazy person. No, a wolf. This was the first time they had seen such a crazy wolf. Even if someone helps you, you can't win. Do you understand? The white-eyed wolf stared at Dong Xion's divine soul and laughed. Then, as if he had lost all his strength, he fell to the ground. The madman's expression darkened as he took a step forward and landed in front of the white-eyed wolf. He checked the white-eyed wolf's injuries and heaved a sigh of relief. He was only seriously injured and unconscious. There was no danger to his life. Then, he hugged the white-eyed wolf and rolled up the pair of golden wings that had been torn off. He rushed to Qin Feiyang and said, "Send him to the Black Tortoise world to heal." And Qin Feiyang nodded. With a wave of his hand, the white-eyed wolf and the pair of golden wings disappeared. With the mermaid princess around, no matter how serious the injuries were, it didn't matter. However, the young man's actions had completely infuriated them. Whoosh! The madman turned around and took a step forward. He pointed at the young man, and a murderous aura erupted from his body. It was as if he had transformed into a demon king. "Come and accept your death." The other young man glanced at the madman and said in a low voice, "Dong Ping, be careful." "Don't worry. I won't underestimate him." Dong Ping glanced at Dong Xian. This was the price of underestimating the other party, and they absolutely couldn't lose this battle. Otherwise, they, the peerless geniuses of the Central Dynasty, would really become a joke. Whoosh! Dong Ping took a step forward and landed in front of the madman. Boom! The powerful auras of the two surged out at the same time and collided in the air. Just the collision of their auras caused the entire place to turn dark. "You like to interfere, huh? I'll cripple this pair of dog paws first." The madman laughed angrily and raised his hand to punch. "Let's see if you have the ability to do so." Dong Ping's blood-red hair fluttered as he punched without dodging. Boom! The two fists collided with a loud bang. The moment they collided, a terrifying wave of blood roared out. This was the madman's power of all evil. One must know, the power of a casual punch from the madman was comparable to the ultimate esoteric law. With a crisp crack, Dong Ping's arm shattered on the spot. Ah! The intense pain caused Dong Ping to howl miserably. The madman's eyes were blood-red as he took the opportunity to grab Dong Ping's other arm and roared, "This is the price of meddling in other people's business." With a furious roar, he suddenly exerted force and tore off Dong Ping's arm. Blood flowed out from the wound. This is the power of all evil? So fierce. The inner demons whispered. This power is very similar to the power of the God Race Mark. However, just the power of all evil alone shouldn't be able to defeat Dong Ping. Lu Jiajin scanned the battlefield. The white-eyed wolf's strength was already obvious to all, so how strong was this madman? It was really exciting. Battlefield. Dong Ping looked at the wounds on his shoulders. The intense pain made his face look particularly ferocious at this moment. However, he wasn't worried or nervous because of this. Instead, a crazy smile crept up on his face. Undead domain. Open. Suddenly, with a low shout, a bloody light emerged. In an instant, a blood-red barrier appeared around his body. It was only half a foot long. Like the sealed god domain, there were mysterious blood-red runes floating inside. Undead domain? Qin Feiyang frowned. Could it be one of the so-called 5 great domains? Without waiting for everyone to react, an astonishing scene appeared. The moment the undead domain opened, Dong Ping's 2 lost arms began to reconstruct immediately. In the blink of an eye, the 2 arms were regenerated. Looking again, there were no scars at all. How is this possible? Whether it was the king and the other 2, or the inner demons, their hearts were filled with shock. The so-called undead domain, could it be a domain that couldn't be killed? Now you know, I am not someone you can shake. In my eyes, you are just an ant struggling with all your might. Dong Ping stared at the madman and smiled. Streaks of ultimate meaning appeared, and the will of heaven surged, erupting with monstrous power. It was also the ultimate meaning of the 7 strongest laws. This was the strength of the 5 unparalleled geniuses of the Central Dynasty. Almost every one of them was in existence on the level of the king, the divine king, or the supreme. In order to cultivate them, the king of the Central Dynasty must have spent a lot of effort. In this way, if he killed them, the king of the Central Dynasty would definitely be heartbroken. The madman's killing intent was brewing. Boom! The 7 ultimate meanings suddenly attacked, and the terrifying aura annihilated the sky. An ant wants to compete with the sun and moon. Do you think it is possible? The madman's face was full of disdain. Boom! His 7-foot body emitted a bloody light and instantly turned into a 10,000-foot-tall giant. He can change his color? The inner demons were surprised. When you and little cousin were in seclusion, I inquired about the madman's situation. It seems that this is the true body of the blood demon king in his previous life, Lu Jiajin explained. So that's the case. I thought he was the same as us. So he's a monster. The inner demons were surprised. Lu Jiajin rolled his eyes. Who would say that about their companions? On the battlefield, the madman activated the 2 ultimate meanings of the law of death and the law of space. The will of heaven and the seal of all evil erupted at the same time. The terrifying aura he emitted instantly soared to an unprecedented level. In an instant, their ultimate power Upanishads collided. Madman, on the other hand, had used only 2 ultimate profundities to crush Dongping's 7 ultimate profundities. This was the strength of the power of all evil. The madman who possessed the power of all evil was equivalent to having 2 wills of heaven. He is indeed very strong. In the sky, the man and woman whispered. Such strength was already invincible in the same realm. Humph! No matter how strong he is, he will still die in front of Dongping. Dong Xian's divine soul sneered. Her eyes were filled with killing intent and resentment. Chapter 42:27. So confident? When Qin Feiyang heard Dong Xian's words, he frowned slightly and lowered his head to look at Dongping. What kind of ability does this person have? Boom! The madman's 2 ultimate profound meanings crushed Dongping's 7 ultimate profound meanings as easily as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood, drowning Dongping. Dongping's physical body continued to shatter. Blood continued to spurt out. However, even so, the undying domain did not collapse. The blood runes inside did not disappear either. As Dongping was about to be destroyed, the crimson runes emitted a blinding crimson glow. However, Dongping managed to reconstruct his flesh in the blink of an eye. Looking again, apart from the blood all over his body, there was no trace of injury. Impossible. Madman was stunned. The power of 10,000 evil plus the will of the heavenly Tao couldn't kill Dongping? What a familiar scene. Qin Feiyang whispered. Such a situation seemed familiar. Wait a minute. Zhuge Mingyang. That's right. It was Zhuge Mingyang. Back then, Zhuge Mingyang mastered the undying demon technique and couldn't be killed. Not only could he not be killed, but he also became stronger every time he died. At that time, in order to completely get rid of Zhuge Mingyang, they spent a lot of effort. Boom! Just as Qin Feiyang was surprised, Dongping once again activated the 7 ultimates and the will of the heavenly Tao erupted. This time, the power released by the 7 ultimates was obviously stronger than before. Could it be that even this is the same? Qin Feiyang was shocked. Every time Dongping was seriously injured, the power of the ultimates would become stronger? If that was the case, then how powerful would Dongping's final ultimates be? It was hard to imagine. He really became an unkillable cockroach? Madman raised his brows. He really didn't believe it. Boom! The 6 ultimates were all activated. The will of the heavenly Tao and the seal of all evil combined, erupting with a destructive aura. Shatter for me. With a roar, the 6 ultimate mysteries shot out furiously. This time, Dongping was even more direct. He did not counterattack. Instead, he took the initiative to open his hand and welcome the descent of the 6 ultimate mysteries. His eyes were filled with disdain for the madman. Rumble. The 6 ultimates attacked, and Dongping's body was shattered again. The undying domain also collapsed. Madman was overjoyed. That was all there was to it. However, in the next moment, his body stiffened, and he was about to go crazy. Although the undying domain had collapsed, the blood-colored runes inside did not disappear. Instead, they had all fused with Dongping's flesh. This is the true face of the undying domain. As long as the runes fuse with Dongping, he will truly have an immortal body. Dong Xian sneered. As expected, in the blink of an eye, Dongping's shattered fleshly body was reformed. Boom. Furthermore, after he activated the 7 ultimate profundities, his power increased by another level. Not good. Senior brother, doing this will only make him stronger and stronger, Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice. Madman looked at Qin Feiyong in surprise. This undying domain is very similar to Zhuge Mingyang's undying demon technique. As long as there is a bit of flesh, even a strand of hair, it can quickly regenerate. If you want to kill him, you must have absolute strength to instantly destroy his body and soul. Otherwise, it will be useless. Qin Feiyong transmitted his voice. So that's how it is. Madman's heart sank. Although he had never seen Zhuge Mingyang with his own eyes, he had been with Qin Feiyong and the others for so many years. He had also heard of Zhuge Mingyang's situation from them. So that's how it is. It seems that he will be in for a bitter battle, because now, he had revealed almost all of his strength. 6 ultimate profundities, will of heaven, power of all evil. However, even so, he still couldn't kill Dongping. What does this mean? It means he indeed didn't have the ability to instantly destroy Dongping's body and soul. The most terrifying thing was, for ordinary people, no matter how strong they are, as long as their sea of qi and soul are severely damaged, their combat power will decline. But this Dongping relied on the undying domain. Even if you destroy his sea of qi and soul, he can quickly come back from the dead. In short, all your efforts will be in vain in the end. If one's mind is firm, then it's still fine and won't collapse. But if one's state of mind isn't stable, facing such a situation, one will gradually become discouraged, powerless, desperate, and eventually collapse and give up. So, fighting with someone like Dongping is not only a physical burden, but also a test of one's mental and willpower. Come on. What means do you have? Come at me. Dongping laughed. Madman was silent. If he can't kill him, he will become stronger and stronger instead. This caused him to not dare to act rashly, because the current Dongping must be eager for him to kill him. Why? Don't dare to make a move? Afraid that I will become stronger and stronger? Haha, if you don't make a move, I will. Let's see how long you can last. Dongping laughed wildly. His bloody hair danced in the air like the reincarnation of a demon king. Bang! The next moment, 7 ultimate profound meanings charged at Madman. Madman activated instant time and didn't dare to fight head-on. He kept dodging as he thought of a countermeasure. If you continue like this, you can only take a beating. So, you better go all out. Dongping took a step forward. He also mastered the law of time. Instant time was used to the limit as he punched at Madman. Bang! Madman spurted out a mouthful of blood as his face turned pale. His entire body was like a meteorite as he smashed into the ground below. Bastard! This made Madman furious. He leaped up and instantly rushed into the sky. 6 ultimate profound meanings roared out, carrying the power to destroy the world as they charged at Dongping. Yes, 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 that's it. This way, I can become stronger. Dongping laughed wildly. He actually took the initiative to face the 6 ultimate profound meanings. With a loud bang, Dongping's body shattered, but the next moment, he was reborn. With the activation of the ultimate profound meaning, the power he emitted was almost catching up to Madman. One has to know, the combination of Madman's will of heaven and the power of all evil, how terrifying was that? But now, with just a few serious injuries, the lethality of Dongping's ultimate profound was almost catching up to Madman. Although it was similar to the Undying Demon technique, the entire Undying domain was many times stronger than the Undying Demon technique. Back then, How did you guys kill Zhuge Mingyang? Madman roared. Even with his temperament, he couldn't help but feel upset at this moment. There was no way to continue the fight. Back then, Zhuge Mingyang was killed by Big Cousin. Big Cousin used his overwhelming strength to burn him to ashes. Qin Feiyong transmitted his voice. That's only possible if you have overwhelming strength. Madman was dumbfounded. The key point was that he didn't have the strength to suppress Dong Ping. Could it be that he was going to lose here? That would be too shameful. No, if he really lost here, he would definitely be laughed at by the white-eyed wolf. Don't be polite. Continue. Dong Ping laughed maniacally. His strengthened 7 ultimate profound meanings shattered the sky as he charged at Madman. This was forcing Madman to make a move. Chapter 42-28. This is bad. Lunatic is really in danger. In the distance, the king muttered. Yes, who would have thought that Dong Ping would have such a heaven-defying method? 5 domains, 5 peerless geniuses. Could it be that the 5 peerless geniuses of the Central Dynasty are the owners of the 5 domains? The divine king was surprised. That's possible. Otherwise, why would these people be so confident in front of Qin Feiyong and the others? The God-sealing domain has the ability to seal divine power, and the power of loss. The undying domain allows Dong Ping to have an undying body. If these 2 domains are so powerful, what about the other 3? What kind of heaven-defying power do they have? The human race's supremacy murmured. It was unimaginable. Why were the young people of this generation more and more powerful? Even these people of the older generation couldn't help but feel fear in their hearts. Why didn't the Ice Dragon tell us that there are 5 domains in the world? On the other side, the inner demons turned to look at Lu Jiajin and frowned. Then you'll have to ask him. Speaking of which, we're also responsible. After hiding in the Central Dynasty for so many years, we didn't get such important information. Lu Jiajin sighed. Everyone in the Central Dynasty knew about the 5 peerless geniuses. But only the emperor of the Central Dynasty had seen the 5 peerless geniuses. Of course, the sovereign of the divine king must have seen them. In fact, Lu Jiajin had been looking for information about the 5 peerless geniuses in the Central Dynasty, but he couldn't find a chance. It could only be said that the emperor was too good at keeping secrets. The inner demons glanced at Dong Xian and the others and frowned. 5 peerless geniuses. Why are there only 4? Where's the other one? Hearing this, Lu Jiajin's heart skipped a beat and quickly looked around. That's right. Where's the other one? It can't be that only 4 came. Could the other one be hiding somewhere and secretly watching the battlefield? On the battlefield, the mad scientist was completely suppressed. His 10,000 feet tall body was covered in blood. The situation he was facing now was that he didn't dare to act rashly, which made him extremely sullen. Don't hesitate. If you don't fight back, you'll die. It wouldn't be worth it to die just like that. Dong Ping laughed loudly, and his arrogance grew more and more arrogant. That disdainful gaze was as if he was looking at an ant that was constantly struggling to survive. Senior brother, you must calm down, Qin Feiyong muttered. Now is not the time to panic, because once one's mind was in chaos, a disaster would inevitably befall them. But to be honest, even he couldn't think of any way to deal with Dong Ping. Of course, his own strength was definitely enough. The law of life and death, 6 supreme laws, 2 wills of the heavenly Tao, and 3,000 incarnations. With all these means added together, he could easily kill Dong Ping, not giving him a chance to be reborn. But now, Dong Ping was no match for him. Qin Feiyong was well aware of the madman's methods. It was almost impossible to defeat Dong Ping unless a miracle or an unforeseen event occurred. In the sky, dark clouds covered the sky. It was like the eve of a storm. After experiencing 2 great battles, the ground here had long been damaged beyond recognition. Do you know what you look like now? Dong Ping laughed out loud and shamelessly humiliated him. Now, you're just like a turtle, shrinking your neck and running away like a rat. Trash like you can only be arrogant in the 4 great continents. If you go to our Central Dynasty, you're worse than a dog. Hearing this, The madman suddenly raised his head and looked at Dong Ping. A dog should also live with some dignity. But now you don't even have the least bit of dignity. How pitiful. Why don't you wag your tail at me now? Maybe I will be magnanimous and spare your dog life? Dong Ping's face was full of ridicule. He was deliberately angering the madman, because if the madman kept avoiding the battle, it would be quite difficult for him to kill the madman. After all, the madman also had instant time. But if he could anger the madman and make him attack with all his strength, he only needed to be seriously injured once more. Then his 7 ultimate mysteries would be able to compete with the madman's power of all evil and will of the heavenly Tao. In this way, the chances of killing the madman would be greater. He got what he wanted. The madman was completely enraged. Thinking back, when and where had he suffered such humiliation? Boom. The power of the 6 ultimate mysteries, will of the heavenly Tao, and all evil seal erupted. A terrifying aura and monstrous fury swept through the world. Not good. Qin Feiyong clenched his fists and was ready to rescue the madman at any time. Yes, 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 that's it. This is the demeanor a man should have. Come, don't hold back and kill me. As long as you can kill me, you will have the ability to sweep through the divine kingdom. Dong Ping laughed wildly and faced the madman's 6 ultimate mysteries. I'll fulfill your wish. The madman laughed. His voice was like a demon from hell, making one's heart involuntarily feel a chill. In the next moment, a bloody wound appeared between his eyebrows. Battle soul, blood eye, open. Dong Ping's arrogant attitude suddenly froze. His body, from his feet to his head, began to petrify. That's right. As long as this person is petrified, his undying domain will collapse. Looking at this scene, Qin Feiyong was shocked. Whether it was the profound laws, battle soul, or domain, they all needed to be controlled by one's consciousness. If Dong Ping was petrified, he would naturally lose consciousness. After losing consciousness, the undying domain would automatically close. Without the undying domain, wouldn't Dong Ping be a lamb waiting to be slaughtered? From this, it could be seen that although the madman was angry, he had not lost his mind. The petrification process was not fast. After all, Dong Ping's strength was right in front of him. However, it was much faster than the white-eyed wolf, depriving him of his cultivation and dharma laws. In a short while, Dong Ping's entire head entered a petrified state. Naive. Right at this moment, Dong Ping's voice could be heard. This was the voice of the divine soul. In other words, although his head was petrified, the divine soul inside had not been petrified. As his voice fell, a mighty force of law surged out and forcefully cut off the madman's petrification. Subsequently, he once again broke through the air and faced the 6 ultimate mysteries. Boom! Accompanied by a loud bang, Dong Ping's body shattered. Qin Feiyong, the monarch, Lu Jiajin, and the inner demons couldn't help but twitch their eyelids when they saw this scene. In the next moment, Dong Ping was reborn again and said in ecstasy, "The real battle has just begun." Boom! The 7 ultimate mysteries roared out, emitting a divine aura that was on par with the madman's ultimate mysteries. Come on! You have no choice, go all out and fight. Dong Ping let out a long roar and charged towards the madman with the 7 ultimate mysteries. Chapter 42-29. Madman's eyes flashed with a cold light as he activated his 6 ultimate mysteries and charged forward. As expected, accompanied by an enormous rumbling sound, each of Dong Ping's 7 ultimates was comparable to the madman's ultimates. One must know, Madman had activated the will of the heavenly Tao and the seal of all evil at the same time. In other words, Madman's seal of all evil no longer had any advantage. Not only did he not have any advantage, he was also at a disadvantage. Because he only had 6 ultimate mysteries while Dong Ping had 7, he had an absolute advantage in terms of numbers. Boom. There was no suspense. Dong Ping's 7 ultimate profundities smashed through Madman's 6 ultimate profundities. The next moment, Madman suffered a fatal injury. His entire body was dripping with blood as he smashed into the ground below, his face pale. "How is it? Now you know how terrifying I am. Do you feel despair?" Dongping laughed. As his voice fell, he seemed to have transformed into a god of death as he charged towards Madman. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang put down his teacup as a murderous aura spread out from his body. The man and woman next to Dong Xian immediately looked at Qin Feiyang with a trace of vigilance in their eyes. "Old Qin, sit properly for me. There's no need for you to interfere." Madman also felt Qin Feiyang's aura and immediately raised his head and shouted. Immediately after, he got up, blood dripping from the corner of his mouth as he gritted his teeth. "Believe me, I will definitely not lose." Looking at Madman's firm eyes, Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and picked up his teacup again. He calmed down and drank his tea while silently watching the battle. "In my previous life, I have already lost to your divine kingdom once. So in this life, I must not lose again." Madman stared at Dongping and roared as waves of blood surged out from his body. This was the aura of all evil. He was the embodiment of all evil, dominating all evil in the world. The aura of all evil enveloped the entire area. Dongping immediately felt that this aura of all evil was crazily drilling into his body, devouring his divine soul, divine power, law power, and even his bloodline. What kind of monster is this? Dongping couldn't help but frown. As one of the 5 unparalleled geniuses, he was naturally experienced and knowledgeable. However, at this moment, the madman's evil power was something he had never seen before. In other words, he had never seen such a terrifying evil force before. It was no exaggeration to say that, as long as a living being did not possess the will of the heavenly Tao, they would not be able to resist this evil power. Furthermore, in a trance, he sensed a dangerous aura from the madman. This made him want to end the battle as soon as possible, because Dong Xian was a good example. No, speaking of which, the madman was even more unpredictable than the white-eyed wolf. This was because the white-eyed wolf's 4th innate ability had existed for a long time, but he had never revealed it. Thus, regardless of whether Dong Xian had been careless or not, her defeat was already set in stone the moment the battle began. But a lunatic was different. The madman had indeed reached the end of his road. The reason why he was able to continue fighting was because of his unyielding spirit. In battle, such people were the most terrifying, because you didn't know what would happen in the next moment. If he accidentally stimulated the other party's potential and comprehended some peerless killing technique, he would instead become the other party's training stone. Thus, ending the battle quickly and ending the other party's life as soon as possible was the wisest choice. "If I send you to hell now, even the heavenly king won't be able to save you," Dongping roared. The 7 ultimate laws carried monstrous killing intent as they crazily attacked. "Then come and try." The madman's roar resounded through the sky. The 6 ultimate ultimates and the force of 10,000 evil turned into a torrent that devoured the sky and collided with the 7 ultimate ultimates, accompanied by an earth-shaking explosion. The 13 ultimate laws and the power of all evil shattered at the same time in the void, erupting with a destructive aura that spread in all directions. How is this possible? In the sky, Dong Xian and the other 2 were stunned. That power of all evil was actually able to compete with an ultimate law that contained the will of the heavenly Tao. Dongping had 7 ultimate profound meanings. The madman had 6 ultimate laws. There was a difference of 1. In other words, the power of all evil filled the gap of 1 ultimate law. One must know, although the madman's power of all evil was powerful, it was only equivalent to the lethality of a low-level sovereign weapon. The lethality of a low-level sovereign weapon didn't contain the will of the heavenly Tao. If it was an ultimate law that contained the will of the heavenly Tao, the low-level sovereign weapon would only be crushed. In other words, the madman's power of all evil was only able to compete with an ultimate law that didn't contain the will of the heavenly Tao. But now, the lethality of this power of all evil was actually able to compete with an ultimate law that contained the will of the heavenly Tao. What did this mean? It meant, at this moment, the lethality of the power of all evil had increased by a large margin. Is this a miracle? Qin Feiyang murmured. It seemed that Dongping's suppression had indeed stimulated his senior brother's potential. He wanted to seek a breakthrough in battle. This is impossible. Dongping was dumbfounded on the spot. The previous power of all evil wasn't even this strong. How did it increase by so much? Could it be that what he was worried about would really happen? He would become the madman's training stone and help the madman comprehend a peerless killing technique? No. This kind of thing is absolutely not allowed to happen. Dongping's face turned sinister. If such a thing really happened, then he would definitely become the laughingstock of the world. No matter what means you have, you will die. You will die. He was like a mad beast. His 7 ultimate profundities appeared out of nowhere. Then, he charged furiously at Madman with his 7 ultimate profundities. You don't have the ability. The madman laughed. Although he was extremely weak, his spirit of never admitting defeat, that unyielding fighting spirit, was like a demon god, making others revere him. Boom. The power of all evil and the 6 ultimate laws shattered heaven and earth. However, just as they were about to collide, a sneer crept up Dongping's face. The 7 ultimate mysteries instantly dissipated. The madman was shocked. What was this person trying to do? But in the next moment, he understood Dongping's intention. Dongping was actually using his flesh and blood to crash into the power of all evil and the 6 ultimate laws. How could a mere body of flesh and blood be a match for the power of all evil and the 6 ultimate laws? Dongping's body shattered on the spot and blood splattered across the sky. But, did you think he was dead? No, he wasn't dead. He was borrowing the madman's power of all evil and the 6 ultimate laws to once again increase his strength. It can still be increased? Qin Feiyang's brows were tightly knitted. Could it be that this undying domain was as limitless as the slaughter domain? Haha, what a stupid guy. A terrifying fluctuation collapsed this part of heaven and earth. It was also at this moment that a maniacal laughter suddenly rang out from the collapsing void. Following closely, a blood-colored figure appeared in the void in front of him. Blood hair fluttered and a murderous aura filled the sky. If it wasn't Dongping, who else could it be? The undying domain allowed him to be reborn again. Looking at the lively Dongping, the madman's face was gloomy to the extreme. Can he really not be killed? No, it must be possible. The madman roared in his heart, and with a surging aura, he rushed into the sky and charged towards Dongping. The current you can't even be considered an ant. Experience what true despair is. Dongping laughed sinisterly. The 7 ultimate laws appeared, and along with the eruption of the will of the heavenly Tao, the terrifying divine might had already surpassed the madman. Senior brother, Qin Feiyang whispered, his heart filled with worry. Although he was willing to believe in the madman, the current Dongping's combat strength was too terrifying. Moreover, if he was unable to kill Dongping in an instant, his combat strength would soar. This was equivalent to a bottomless abyss, enough to make anyone despair. In an instant, the madman and Dongping once again clashed. Dongping, who had become stronger once again, was like a god descending to the mortal world, crushing over and directly smashing the madman into the ground. The madman's body was torn apart on the spot. I want to see if you're still not dead. Dongping's face was sinister as the power of law poured out, turning into a torrent that covered the sky. With a loud bang, the madman was drowned. Qin Feiyang suddenly stood up and stared at the ground below. The madman was drowned by the power of law, and his figure could no longer be seen. But he could sense the madman's aura. His aura was rapidly dissipating. Don't make a move, suddenly. The madman's weak voice sounded in Qin Feiyang's mind. Still not allowing me to make a move? Qin Feiyang frowned. What did he want to do? However, since it was the madman's own request, he could only comply and return to his seat again, but his heart was extremely perturbed. Facing such a situation, could his senior brother survive? Go to hell, go to hell. Dong Ping was like a madman as the power of law crazily bombarded down. The ground collapsed and the abyss was densely covered. Dust and smoke shrouded the world. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang's eyelids twitched. The madman's life fluctuations had actually completely dissipated. What did this mean? It meant that the madman's soul might have been destroyed. He suddenly couldn't help but clench his hands. His heart was filled with regret. He should have decisively made a move and not listened to his senior brother. Haha, Dong Ping laughed loudly. Finally, this disaster was solved. Dong Xian and the other two also revealed a smile on their faces. Looking at the king and the other two, Lu Jiajin and Dong Ping were also like Qin Feiyang, their hands tightly clenched together. The madman who dominated the Sky Cloud realm and the Divine Kingdom had fallen just like that? Qin Feiyang closed his eyes, suppressing the grief and anger in his heart. His eyes suddenly opened, and two blood-red murderous auras burst out. Dong Xian and the other three were shocked and immediately turned to look at Qin Feiyang. All of you come together. Qin Feiyang got up and said coldly, arrogant. The four were furious. Even if there were 3,000 incarnations, the eye of heaven, and the law of life and death, one shouldn't be so rampant. Chapter 42:30. The battle was about to begin. However, at this moment, an arrogant and unyielding laugh echoed throughout the area. This is, Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled as he quickly scanned the void. That's right. This was the laughter of the madman. But how was this possible? The life fluctuations of the madman had already disappeared. So why was there still his laughter? At the same time, Dong Ping's group of 4, the king's group of 3, and Lu Jiajin's group were all looking at the void in bewilderment. However, looking around, they didn't see the figure of the madman at all. Only that laughter continued to reverberate between heaven and earth, not dissipating for a long time. I still have to thank you. This time, the voice was even clearer, but they couldn't capture the location, as if it was a ghost-like existence. Who is pretending to be a ghost? Get out here for me. Dong Ping roared. Not dead? Don't joke around. The life fluctuations had already disappeared. How could he still be alive? So he was certain that someone must be playing tricks. Ha ha, the laughter of the madman sounded again, ethereal and uncertain. At the next moment, a strange scene appeared. With this battlefield as the center, evil aura from all directions crazily rushed over here. There was evil aura. In short, all kinds of evil forces were gathering here at this moment. Even at this moment, Qin Feiyang and the others could clearly feel that the murderous aura and evil aura lurking in their bodies were uncontrollably breaking out of their bodies. What's going on? Several of them were bewildered. It was as if there was an invisible force that was frantically extracting the murderous aura and evil aura from their bodies. In the name of the madman, I summon all the evil forces in the world, shape the true body of all evil, and display the might of all evil. The madman's voice sounded again, bringing with it a great majesty. At this moment, Qin Feiyang and the others felt as if they had fallen into a bottomless abyss, and they couldn't help but feel fear in their hearts. Rumble. In the sky, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Blood-red clouds rolled over, and bolts of blood-red lightning roared in all directions. When one looked up, it was like a sea of blood was at the peak of the sky, as if a peerless demon king was about to be born. Moreover, the evil aura coming from all directions became more and more terrifying. At this moment, if someone was standing at the peak of the clouds, they would definitely be able to see a shocking scene. The sky above the western continent was filled with blood-red energy. This was the power of evil. In other words, at this moment, all the evil forces in the western continent were surging toward them. In the end, these evil forces all gathered at the top of the sky dome, turning into a sea of blood that dyed the void and the land blood-red. What's going on? Dong Ping was seething with anger. Could it be that the madman's potential had been stimulated, and he had comprehended some kind of peerless killing technique? No. He suddenly let out a roar, and the 7 ultimate profound meanings appeared. They carried a monstrous might as they charged towards the sea of blood in the sky. However, when the 7 ultimate profundities charged into the blood sea, they were actually devoured by the blood sea. Everyone was dumbfounded. Dongping's current combat strength was obvious to all. With his current 7 ultimate profundities, he could kill anyone in an instant. But now, they were all engulfed by that evil power. This was too terrifying. What was going on? Look! Suddenly, the Divine King exclaimed as he stared at the center of the sea of blood. In the center of the sea of blood, a palm-sized imprint gradually appeared. This is the seal of all evil. Qin Feiyong was shocked. Although this imprint was relatively large, it was exactly the same as the madman's previous seal of all evil. In other words, the madman was really not dead. This seal of all evil was now his incarnation. In this world, the power of evil is everywhere. As long as there is a wisp of evil power, even if I am a mortal, the heavenly Tao will not be able to erase my divine soul. All evil true body, be born. The madman's voice sounded again, like the voice of the heavenly Tao, shaking all directions. The next moment, at the top of the sky dome, all the evil forces surged towards the seal of all evil like a tide. It was like a bottomless pit, absorbing as much as it came. Blood thunder rumbled, deafening, but it was not a heavenly tribulation, but the phenomenon of the birth of a demon king. I don't believe it. Die for me! Dongping roared like a madman. The 7 ultimate mysteries evolved again and charged towards the sky. He must not let this person succeed. However, before the 7 ultimate mysteries could reach the sky, a blood-red giant sword appeared at the top of the sky with a clang, emitting an incomparable evil aura. A mere ant dares to challenge the god of all evil. You really don't know what death is. The next moment, accompanied by a cruel laughter, a blood-red-haired youth walked out of the sea of blood, surrounded by blood chi, as if he was a god of death that walked out of hell. It was the madman. He really didn't die. Dong Xian and the other two's eyes trembled. Now, not only was the madman unharmed, the aura emitted from his body made them feel fear. I am the ruler of all evil. I will kill all gods and Buddhas that block my path. Destroy them for me. The madman looked down at Dongping and waved his hand. The blood-red giant sword floating in the sky instantly tore through the sky and slashed towards the 7 ultimate mysteries. Accompanied by a loud bang, under everyone's incredulous gazes, Dongping's 7 ultimate mysteries were instantly shattered, even more fragile than dead wood. This is too strong. He actually broke the limit of the ultimate mysteries. Everyone present trembled both physically and mentally. This was too heaven-defying. This power was comparable to the sword of faith. No, this can't be real. I don't believe it. Dongping shook his head. This must be a dream. Even if it was a peerless killing technique, it was impossible to surpass the limit of the ultimate mysteries. Clang! Just as Dongping was distracted, the sword of all evil slashed over. Dongping came back to his senses and hurriedly activated momentary time, turned around and ran. But even so, a few sword chi swept over and his body was torn apart on the spot. Undying domain. In the nick of time, Dongping roared and his body instantly reassembled. After being seriously injured again, his combat strength increased by another level. However, even so, facing the sword of all evil, he could still feel a fatal crisis. There was no suspense. Even if his combat strength increased by a few more levels, he was afraid that he would not be able to defeat the demonic power of the sword of all evil. Despair? But I really have to thank you. If it weren't for you crazily suppressing me, I wouldn't have been able to form the true body of all evil. Madman laughed again and again. His brows were also filled with excitement. It was really a blessing in disguise. In the past, he could only control the power of all evil. But now, after forming the true body of all evil, not only could he control all the evil forces in the world, but he could also form an undying body. When Dongping heard this, he couldn't help but go crazy. Not only did he fail to get rid of the other party, but he also increased the other party's combat strength by countless times. This was a great humiliation. Don't talk big. In this world, except for the undying domain, nothing is undying. Dongping went completely crazy. He rushed into the sky and charged towards Madman. With a loud bang, Madman's body shattered in the sky, and blood dyed the sky red. Even his blood contained the terrifying power of all evil. A drop of blood was enough to shatter a piece of the void. Haha, Dongping laughed loudly. Undying body? Don't joke around. In this world, only he had an undying body. However, in the next moment, his laughter came to an abrupt end. However, Madman's shattered body was quickly reconstructed, and he appeared in front of Dongping without any injuries. How is it? The corner of Madman's mouth raised. No, I don't believe it. Dongping roared and attacked again. Madman's body shattered again. Dongping attacked Madman's divine soul again. Let's see how you can be reborn after I destroy your divine soul. In just a few breaths, Madman's divine soul disappeared. If you still don't die like this, I will chop off my head and let you sit on it. Dongping laughed wildly. Is that so? Then chop it off. The next moment, a mocking voice sounded. The evil power surged, and the madman appeared in the sky again, full of vigor. This, Dongping was completely dumbfounded. Dong Xian and the other two, Qin Feiyang, Lu Jiajin, the inner demons, and the king were all dumbfounded. His body shattered, his divine soul dissipated. Not to mention ordinary people, even if it was them, only death would await them. However, Madman ran out in the blink of an eye, alive and kicking. Don't think that this was a small matter. What was the most frightening thing in a battle? Without a doubt, it was having one's Qi destroyed and one's divine soul damaged. Once the Qi was destroyed, no matter how strong one was, they would become a cripple. When one's divine soul was damaged, one's combat strength would also be greatly reduced. Just like Qin Feiyang, he was strong enough, but as long as his Qi was destroyed, whether it was his 3,000 incarnations or the law of life and death, he would not be able to activate them. But Madman was different now. After condensing the all-evil true body, whether it was his Qi being destroyed or his divine soul being damaged, it had no effect on him. In other words, when fighting in the future, he did not have to worry about the consequences of his Qi being destroyed because it could be repaired at any time anyway. Think about it again. How terrifying would it be to fight with such a person? Because he was an invincible existence. No matter how you injured him, he would appear in front of you in the next moment. This guy, I'm afraid even I have no way to kill him. Qin Feiyang murmured. He had the confidence to suppress Madman. The law of life and death, 3,000 incarnations, eye of heaven, and 2 will of heavenly Tao were not to be trifled with. But to kill Madman, he didn't have the confidence to do so now, because this all-evil true body was much stronger than the undying domain. Although the undying domain could increase one's combat strength every time one was seriously injured, it was not a true undying body. As long as one was strong enough, one could still destroy it. But Madman's all-evil true body, as long as there was evil power in the world, he would be indestructible. Looking back, which place didn't have evil power? So, Madman's all-evil true body was the true undying body. The most terrifying thing was his all-evil sword. Even Dongping's current 7 ultimate profound meanings could be easily crushed. This was definitely a peerless killing technique comparable to the Sword of Faith. Chapter 42-31. Continue. I was born with masochism. If I don't get beaten up for a day, my entire body will feel uncomfortable. The madman looked at the hysterical Dongping and said with a mocking expression, "Bastard!" Dongping roared like thunder. "Dongping, calm down. Although you can't kill him, he can't kill you either. At most, it will be a tie between the two of you." Dong Xian shouted. This sentence woke Dongping up from his dream. Dongping suddenly quivered and retreated a distance. Taking a few deep breaths, he looked at the madman and sneered. So what if you condense the all-evil true body and create the all-evil sword? You still can't defeat me. The madman revealed a smile when he heard this. Looking at this expression, Dongping couldn't help but feel guilty. Could it be that the all-evil sword is enough to break his undying legend? Don't be nervous. Whether I can kill you or not, I will only know after trying. The madman laughed, accompanied by a loud clang. The all-evil sword appeared, and its sharp edge swept in all directions. This place suddenly showed a doomsday scene. Dongping once again felt a fatal threat. He swallowed his saliva and couldn't help but feel nervous. Can the undying domain really block this peerless killing technique? Stand there and don't move. Let's test it properly. The madman grinned. His eyes were filled with anticipation. He had just created the all-evil sword, so he wasn't too clear about the lethality of the all-evil sword. Come, Dongping roared. Haha, you have guts. The madman laughed. Holding the all-evil sword with both hands, he slashed at Dongping. Dongping stared at the all-evil sword. His pupils constricted as he clenched his fists. His palms were sweating. He knew the limit of the undying domain, but what he didn't know was whether the lethality of the all-evil sword had exceeded this limit. If it didn't, he would have the confidence. But if he did, he would be digging his own grave if he tried. In the blink of an eye, seeing that the all-evil sword was about to attack him, Dongping was driven by fear. He activated instant time and retreated with lightning speed to avoid the sword. And? Madman was stunned. He looked at Dongping strangely and said, I just said you were courageous. Why did you become a coward in the next second? Do you think I'm stupid? Dongping sneered. I don't care if you're a fool or not. This battle is a matter of life and death. Madman smiled coldly. With a wave of his hand, the all-evil sword quickly shrank, and in the blink of an eye, it had shrunk to the size of a 3-foot-long sword. The madman grabbed the sword of all evil and swung it a few times, gritting his teeth. This is still more flexible. It's easier to use. Finished speaking. Instant time was activated, and the will of the heavenly Tao erupted. Under the support of the will of the heavens, the speed of the instant time increased by several times. The madman held the all-evil sword and charged towards Dongping. Dongping's expression changed slightly. The will of the heavenly Tao erupted as he dodged. Is this all you've got? You don't even have the courage to fight head-on? Madman sneered. Why are you so arrogant? Dongping said furiously. The corner of the madman's mouth curled up. The power of all evil surged, and his speed instantly increased by a large margin. And? Qin Feiyang looked at the madman's forehead suspiciously. At this time, there was no longer the seal of all evil between the madman's eyebrows. But how could the madman still add the power of all evil to the profound law? And now, the effect of the power of all evil was even stronger than before. In the past, the power of all evil could increase it by about 5 times. But now, it was comparable to the will of the heavens. In other words, even if the madman didn't comprehend the ultimate profound law of life and death, it was equivalent to grasping 2 will of the heavens. This was a qualitative leap. In this world, the only ones who could suppress the madman were those who grasped the 3,000 incarnations and the Devil King true body. At the same time, Dongping also had a look of surprise. I am now the source of all evil, the ruler of all evil. I no longer need the seal of all evil. Moreover, after creating the true body of all evil, the strength of the power of all evil is incomparable to before. The madman smiled proudly, and the all-evil sword slashed out. Caught off guard, Dongping's body was directly cut in half. The terrifying sword chi instantly drowned Dongping. Ah! With a scream, Dongping's body that was cut in half was shattered by the sword chi, turning into a blood mist. Undying domain. Rebirth, his soul roared. The next moment, Dongping, who had turned into a blood mist, actually began to reconstruct his body, and the speed was visible to the naked eye. What? The madman frowned. This undying domain was so heaven-defying, even the all-evil sword couldn't erase it? It seemed like the 5 great domains were truly extraordinary. Can't kill me, can't kill me. Haha, Dongping was extremely excited. As long as the all-evil sword couldn't kill him, then he would have a chance to turn the tables. Because no matter how strong the all-evil sword was, there was still a limit. However, the strengthening of the undying domain was endless. As long as the number of injuries increased, his combat strength would surpass the all-evil sword sooner or later. Laugh your ass. The madman cursed. Another sword slashed out. Dongping's body was shattered again. If I don't give you a chance to reconstruct, let's see how you can recover. The madman laughed again and again. The all-evil sword in his hand slashed at Dongping's flesh and divine soul again and again. In a breath's time, he had slashed out dozens of times. It was as if he was chopping meat. Facing such a torrential attack, Dongping gradually panicked. Because he felt that not only could the all-evil sword bring him fatal injuries, there was also an evil aura that was seeping into his flesh and soul. This evil aura was the power of the source of all evil. It was equivalent to saying, Dongping was now facing a double blow. Stop. For this battle, we admit defeat. The young man who was watching the battle also realized that Dongping was in a bad situation and looked at the madman and said in a deep voice. Hearing this, Dong Xian and the other woman looked at the young man in surprise. We must admit defeat. Otherwise, facing such an attack, Dongping's undying domain will be broken sooner or later, and at that time, his soul will be destroyed. The young man's eyes were gloomy. In the first battle, facing the golden-winged wolf king, Dong Xian was killed without any power to fight back. In the second battle, Dongping also suffered the same fate. This is the strength of the madman and the golden-winged wolf king? Sure enough, they had underestimated these people. Admit defeat? The madman raised the corner of his mouth. Although there was no explanation in advance before the battle, whether it was Qin Feiyang's group of 3 or Dong Xian's group of 4, they had already tacitly agreed that this was a life-and-death battle. But now, this young man actually admitted defeat? Isn't this a joke? Do you think I'm playing house and playing with you? Clang! The all-evil sword crazily attacked. Right now, everyone couldn't see the all-evil sword, only an afterimage. One could imagine. The madman's current sword speed was very fast. Suddenly, a blood-colored rune appeared from a blood mist. And the madman was stunned. What the hell is this? Not good. But at the same time, Dong Xian's group of 3 had a change of expression. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and said in surprise, Senior brother, that is the rune of the undying domain. As long as we shatter it, his undying domain should collapse. After being reminded by Qin Feiyang, the madman also came to a realization. Killing intent surged in his eyes as he slashed at the rune. With a crack, the rune was shattered on the spot. Immediately, in an instant, the madman waved his sword dozens of times. Immediately, another blood-colored rune appeared. With one slash, this blood-colored rune was also shattered. He still hasn't broken the undying domain? The madman frowned. Could it be that he had to shatter all the runes for the undying domain to collapse? We can't let him shatter the undying rune again, otherwise Dongping will definitely die. Dong Xian roared. The young man took a deep breath, and the 7 ultimate laws instantly appeared. Then, he took a step forward and charged at the madman like lightning. Just you? The madman looked at the young man and slashed out. The 7 ultimate laws were destroyed on the spot. Simply invincible. Immediately after, the sword chi of the all-evil sword turned into a storm that surged toward the young man from all directions. He thought that the young man would be afraid. However, the young man snorted coldly as rays of golden divine light emerged. A golden domain was formed in an instant. Facing the sword chi storm that swept over, the young man's expression remained unchanged. The madman, Qin Feiyang, Lu Jiejin, and the other 2 couldn't help but be surprised by the young man. This was the sword chi of the all-evil sword. Even the ultimate laws that contain the will of the heavenly Tao could be easily defeated, but this young man didn't even have the intention to dodge. So confident? The next moment, the sword chi storm came and drowned the young man. A shocking scene suddenly appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The young man stood in the midst of the storm of sword chi, completely unharmed. How could this be? The all-evil sword couldn't hurt this person? Dong Exine looked at Qin Feiyong and the madman and sneered, "The invincible state of the god-slaying domain. Do you think it's a joke? God-slaying domain? Invincible state?" Qin Feiyong and the madman were taken aback. Just kidding. Invincible? Is this possible? Just as the madman was distracted, the young man with the golden domain directly crossed the sword chi storm and landed in front of the blood mist formed by Dongping. Dongping also began to regenerate. But with the two undying runes destroyed, the speed of his rebirth had obviously slowed down a lot. The madman came back to his senses and looked at the young man. The young man said indifferently, "Dong Tianqin, please enlighten me. This invincible state of yours, are you serious?" The madman frowned. "You can try." Dong Tianqin was expressionless, but his brows were full of confidence. Clang! The all-evil sword attacked. A sword slashed at Dong Tianqin's domain. Following a loud explosion, terrifying auras burst out from the ground. But Dong Tianqin's god-slaying domain only shook a few times before returning to normal. And Dong Tianqin, who was standing in the god-slaying domain, was not injured at all. This time, the madman was completely dumbfounded. A head-on sword was actually unable to break this god-slaying domain? Are you playing with me? Clang! The madman who came back to his senses was instantly enraged. Holding the all-evil sword with both hands, his veins bulged as he attacked without holding back. Boom! Following an earth-shattering explosion, the god-slaying domain was still intact. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.